was the last time you checked your home title? Scammers are targeting your equity with just a single forged document they file at the county. So don't wait until it's too late. Find out if you are already a victim today. Please go to HomeTitleLock.com and use promo code BILL to get a free title history report, plus a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. On this Thursday, appearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee, FBI Director Kash Patel called militant left-wing Senator Adam Schiff a liar, coward, and a disgrace. Wow. At issue was Schiff's attempt to embarrass Patel over the transfer of Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's pimp, to a softer federal prison. Mr. Patel answered that the Bureau of Prisons ordered the transfer, not him, which is likely true, even though the Justice Department did interview Maxwell a few weeks ago. It could have been a quid pro quo. That's possible. Kash Patel was smart to call Schiff out despite the validity of the question. The senator has a long record of hateful statements directed at President Trump and his supporters. Schiff also heavily promoted the Russian collusion hoax. It is obvious that Senator Schiff is abusing his position in Washington to undermine anything Trump. The people in California who elected him might not care, but abuse of power is a very serious situation. And so the political strife continues in the USA unabated. No relief in sight. Let the name calling begin. Back after this. Cold and flu season coming on up. We all know it. So when people start getting sick all across the country, medications disappear. Everybody wants it at the same time. So it's very, very smart to have a pharmacy you can count on, like All Family Pharmacy. Right now, they're helping Americans get ahead of the curve with 10% off antibiotics, antivirals, other essentials. So please go to allfamilypharmacy.com/bill. Use code BILL10 to save 10%. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today. Another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, tonight is the big night. Steve Forbes is going to be at the Lindenwood University Scheidegger Center this evening. If you've already got your tickets, look forward to seeing you. I think I'm going to stay out in the lobby before the event and just say hi. Just look for the big News Talk STL banner. Love to meet you. Come on out. Hey, good morning, Mike Ferguson. And speaking of Steve Forbes, he joined us on the program yesterday, giving us kind of a hint of what we're going to hear tonight. And I got to tell you, I'm even more intrigued now, and I'm really looking forward to this. Here's how the conversation went.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, I hope you're going to join us Thursday evening at Lindenwood University's Scheidegger Center for a conversation with Steve Forbes. My guess is that this is not going to be an evening of just economist charts and academic terms. If you have followed Steve Forbes for any amount of time, and I have for a long time, his podcast, his writings for years and years, I've really admired his work. This is going to be something that I think we can all relate to and all be challenged by. So those of you who already have your tickets reserved, please make sure that you come on out. I think it's going to be really intellectually stimulating, and we're going to walk away with something we can use in our real lives here. And we're joined now by Steve Forbes. And Mr. Forbes, it's really a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for being on the show. Want to start with something really.
Good to be with you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for those kind words.
Yeah, I've been an admirer for a long time, not just with the magazine and everything, but I love how you tie things together that are not just about the money and the finances. I mean, for instance, let me start with a real basic foundational part of the discussion. And this is really where I want to kind of pick your brain. When we're talking about free enterprise, we're talking about free markets. What we're really talking about is the role of government in business and commerce and entrepreneurialism. So how should we look at government and government's role in the economy? Because it just seems to me, and if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. It seems to me that we collectively have kind of a warped view of how much we should be depending on the government for the economy and for our opportunities to flourish.
Right. And I think the role of government, basic role of government, is to create the environment where people, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, have an opportunity to improve their lot in life. It doesn't mean the government runs your life. Just make sure that you have a basic rules of the road. You know, James Madison, the man who was the father of our Constitution, said, we are not angels. We need laws. We need government. But we need tempered government that knows what its limitations are. So it's one thing to have, say, for example, speed limits and things like that for driving an automobile. You don't go 100 miles an hour in a school zone. But it's quite another thing if the government tells you what car to buy, where to drive it, and when to drive it. So minimal regulations, minimal rules. And this gets to something, you touched on something, and I'm glad this administration is tackling, and that is all the literally hundreds of thousands of rules and regulations that burden businesses and burden people today. Just one quick example, Mike. If you take your pooch on one of those flexible leashes and you go on federal land, if that leash is longer than has a length of longer than 6 feet, you're violating federal law. That's how crazy and picayune, you might say, the rules have become. And so the more we get rid of, if you want to buy an EV, fine. If you want to buy a traditional car or truck, fine. Your choice, not the bureaucrats. And by the way, you've gotten me off on this. One of the reasons we find that a lot of basic household items don't work as well is because of regulations. You remember washing machines used to be able to do a load well in under an hour. Now, what does it take? 3 hours? 4 hours? It's nuts.
Good morning, Gabe Phifer here. So I wanted to ask about sort of the intangible factors. Like the cultural ones. While posting Cindy Adams' New York Post article, you stated, America was once proud, strong, and united. Now we face crime, weak democratic leadership, and fading patriotism. If we don't reclaim our values, we risk losing the nation we love. Can we separate things like patriotism and values from economic and financial opportunity?
Well, I think they all go together. What makes the United States so unique is precisely because no matter what your background, you can come here and have opportunities to get ahead that you can't find elsewhere. You know, I think it was the Wall Street Journal the other day had an article about some Americans from Germany and France had come over here, worked in Silicon Valley, and a couple of Germans decided to go home to start some high-tech companies in Germany. They gave up in frustration because of all the rules and regulations and came back to Silicon Valley. So can discover that, make mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and move ahead, and enjoy the pursuit of happiness, as it was guaranteed in our Declaration of Independence. So it all ties together. And all this stuff that, we can't make decisions on our own, government has to do it. That's why I like school choice. You know, you may have a perfectly good neighborhood school, but it may not be right for your child at that particular point in the child's life. You should be able to make the choice of where you want to send your kid to school.
We are visiting with Steve Forbes, who's going to be at Lindenwood University Thursday evening. More information about that is at newstalkstl.com. Speaking of, I guess the cultural aspects and what we stand to lose right now in the country, I've got to ask everybody in the public eye, what is the murder of Charlie Kirk and specifically the divided reaction to it? Tell us about ourselves right now, Steve.
Well, I think people are recognizing, and I think this is actually was a trend long before the horrors of last week, is that the normal norms, what you might say, guardrails, norms of what you do and what you don't do, have been worn away. And so with social media, people feel they can say things they know they shouldn't say. They can hide behind anonymity. But I think one of the things that's happening in reaction to that terrible assassination is that people are taking stock. Where we need guidance again. We need norms again in terms of customs, you might say, of what's proper and what isn't proper, especially among young people. And the fact that Charlie Kirk had such appeal to young people, the fact that they're now seeing, and I know this is a touchy subject, but we're not going to discuss theology, but that younger people are turning to a religion again that find a purpose in life. And I think he stood for that, and it's such a bitter irony that he was doing what we want our public square to be, where you civilly engage with people who may not agree with you. And he did that routinely. That's why it's thousands of young people come to his events.
Very well said, Steve. Thank you. Now, in terms of what young people seem to be embracing these days, we've got socialism just kind of rising in America in all kinds of ways. We've got out and out socialists as political leaders, as elected officials, and now I think as one of the biggest potential gets, I guess, for the commies in America is a potential communist mayor of New York City, one of the biggest cities in America. What do you make of this embracing of socialism on the left in recent years, and how do we combat that ideology?
Well, I think what the reason that you see it rise is because people don't know what it is. Social. Who can be against being social? But the fact of the matter is, people don't know what socialism means. It means government control. It means tyranny. And New York City, thanks to government, things are very, very expensive. Young people can't get apartments. And you look at the streets; they're not what they should be. Fortunately, we have a good police commissioner who's starting to make some real inroads against crime. But you look at the city itself; it's not the place it was 10, 20 years ago, where it was the safest city in America. Taxes were being kept under control, and people felt you could have a good life there. That's no longer true. It's gone backwards. And so a lot of young people, if you think people 18, 20, 25, 30, in this century, 25 years, we really haven't had, with just brief exceptions, periods of real confidence, periods of real prosperity. Well, I'm old enough to remember the 80s and 90s where people felt the world was moving ahead in the right direction. The Berlin Wall fell, the communists fell in the Soviet Union, and we thought a better world was beckoning. And then it turned out it did not. So we need among other things, an environment in America where people can buy affordable housing. We once had that. Regulation and taxes have killed that, or certainly thwarted it for the moment, and that people feel they have a chance to really move ahead and be excited about life, be excited about opportunities. And if you do a stumble, you pick yourself up and move forward. But that basic kind of can-do optimism has been killed by rules and regulations. There was a time when you could build a bridge in a year or two. Now it takes 10 years and thousands of studies. And a lot of states, especially blue states, trying to get an apartment development going, trying to get a house built. Oh my goodness! You have to sign up for a lifetime, get all the permits. It's nuts.
Oh, my goodness. We're visiting with Steve Forbes, and we're really looking forward to tomorrow's event at Lindenwood University. So tell me, I know what I'm hoping to get from it. I think everybody who's going to be attending knows what they're hoping to get. What do you hope that we will take away from not just your remarks, but the discussion that we're going to have with you tomorrow?
I think what people should take away is that we have some very serious problems. We have the problems with the Federal Reserve. We have problems with the challenges of tariffs. We have problems of regulations. We have problems of crime and all those sorts of things. But while we have some very serious challenges and overseas, the war in Europe, the war in the Middle East, and the potential of really bad stuff happening with China, all that is there. But the fact of the matter is that what I hope people take away is there are most of these problems were, you might say, person-made. I used to say man-made, but person-made, and they can be solved. There are very basic solutions, good, positive ones. I'll just give you a quick example. Everyone says, "Oh, the Social Security system's going to go bust in pick a number, 8 years, 10 years." And the fact of the matter is, this is also an opportunity. If we have the economy growing what it did historically in this country, I hate to bring up numbers early in the morning, but we used to do on average over time, 3.5% a year, you get that kind of growth back again. And first of all, the doomsday date for Social Security goes off for another 10 or 20 years, but also gives the opportunity to introduce a new system for younger people, where those taxes, instead of going to the government and getting spent right away, which is what happens today, a portion of that money goes into your own personal account, proper rules and regulations, and so you can't use it to go out and bet on racehorses and the like. But it's sort of like an IRA or 401k at an early age, and that way, there are numerous studies on this, going back and seeing even in the worst of times, you'll end up from Social Security younger people getting 2 to 5 times what they're going to get under what people get today. The returns on Social Security have been terrible the way they've run it. And so for younger people, this is a chance when they get their first part-time job and they suddenly find they're accumulating a thing called capital, and they realize this is a retirement fund that comes from their labor, their work, not the politicians. And they can choose their own retirement age. And if they don't, if they have money left over, they can give it to their favorite family member or pet or whatever. But let people have control of the money with basic rules, so you have something there. And even if you just put it in bank CDs, you'll end up with 2 to 3 times younger people when you decide to retire than what you're getting from the rottenly run system that we have today. So these are opportunities. I want people to have a sense there are great opportunities out there, especially in healthcare. I mean, imagine the time's going to come where in not too many years from now, you can get a heart replacement, a kidney replacement, lung replacement, almost like changing a tire. Instead of the dread system we have today, can I get will there be a heart out there that from an accident that I can get or something? All that will be go into the past. So exciting things are in the offing. We've got real problems. Let's resolve them. But we've got some good stuff ahead if we get these problems and not let them wreck us.
All right, just ahead here, right around 6:35, St. Louis County Councilman Dennis Hancock. He's going to join us. He was the only Republican to vote against the resolution honoring Charlie Kirk. We're going to pick his brain a little bit and find out why he decided to do that. Once again, that's at 6:35 right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station.
This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC. From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, let me start off by putting a smile on everybody's faces with two words.
Oh.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh.
I know there are people who are like, yay! Okay. In case you haven't heard, and I suspect you have, even though it is 5:53 in the morning right now, his show is going the way of Stephen Colbert's show, except there's no long goodbye. Jimmy Kimmel, for all intents and purposes, canceled.
About darn time.
Yeah, so it's not technically he's suspended indefinitely, but that is basically a way for them to figure out a settlement because there's a contract involved.
Yeah.
And they got to pay out something, and that's how it goes. So if you haven't heard, MAGA celebrating, another one biting the dust. I mean, that's what's happening here. I'll be really honest. I have not watched Jimmy Kimmel in many, many years. I just never really found him funny, and I never found him smart.
Yeah.
And that's not just because he's on the left and I'm on the right. I just never thought he was that funny.
I agree 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I can enjoy Bill Maher, but
I can appreciate Bill Maher. Even when I disagree, I can appreciate Bill Maher. Yeah.
I just don't even know anybody that watches. Like, who's watching his show to begin with?
I know. Yeah. And he's, so he's become these amazing. The funny thing is, I remember, and this literally might be before you were born. Actually, I'm sure it's before you were born. He was part of a show called The Man Show on, was it Comedy Central? I think it was. Like, it was one of the first shows on Comedy Central way back in the day.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
And he was the sidekick on that show. And I want to say, who was it? Was it Adam Carolla or somebody like that? And so their big thing at the end of the show was girls bouncing on trampolines.
Comedy.
That's all it was. Like, they would do the closing credits with pretty girls jumping up and down wearing, swimsuits, and that was it. And then the whole thing was The Man Show was kind of before we had the term woke, it was the offensive bro culture kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And there were times where that was kind of funny. I was growing into adulthood at that time, so even I was starting to leave that behind. But back then he wasn't political. He was just kind of lowbrow comedy. But here's what was actually said. The people are saying this is what got him canceled. I'm going to argue this isn't actually what got him canceled, but here's what he had to say.
The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, so obviously turns out that is 100% wrong. I think they probably knew that at that time. But I'm going to argue, because people are saying he said a disgusting thing about Charlie Kirk. He actually didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk there.
Yeah.
He said everything about the MAGA movement. That's what it was. So that in and of itself honestly isn't as firebrand as I think a lot of people are saying. I think this was the straw that broke the camel's back because of years of him saying untrue and vile things about his political opponents, basically against conservatives, against Trump, against MAGA. So I think this is a matter of Nexstar, which is a company that owns a whole bunch of ABC affiliates, said, we've had enough. They're like, we're done. This guy is not, this guy is so one-sided that they called it not operating in the public interest, which is code word for we're really serious about having a legal out with our contract. And then ABC didn't really have a choice. This is one of their biggest affiliate owners, and then they pulled him. So I don't know. I haven't read. I'm sure they've announced what they're going to have in Jimmy Kimmel's place, but I don't know what it is because I just don't care that much. But that's the business side of it. But I don't think this is about one comment that he made that was stupid and false. I think this is the culmination of years of him just being a pretty gross person on TV.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobbler's, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Escape to Augusta, Missouri, where country charm meets endless possibilities. Just a short drive from St. Louis, discover our beautiful wineries, bike the scenic Katy Trail, and explore our rich history. Looking for romance? Our charming bed and breakfasts offer true hospitality with fine dining at local restaurants, wineries, and breweries. It's time to spend some time in the country. Augusta welcomes you. Learn more at augustachamber.org.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com, treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hour from Town Hall, I'm Rich Thomason. The cost of borrowing will be coming down a bit. The Federal Reserve has approved a 1/4 point cut in its benchmark interest rate. Although it was not unanimous, President Trump's new Fed appointee had hoped for a larger cut.
Trump economic advisor Stephen Myron was a late addition to the Fed's Board of Governors this week, and he stood alone after the interest rate announcement. Myron was the only Fed policymaker who dissented from the decision to cut rates by a 1/4 point. Myron preferred a larger 1/2 point cut, but Fed Chairman Jerome Powell said there wasn't very much support for the bigger size cut among Fed officials. Greg Clugston, Washington.
There were American flags, salutes, and some tears along the route. Police procession in York, Pennsylvania, honoring the 3 law enforcement officers shot to death yesterday while following up on a domestic-related incident. 2 other officers shot and wounded. They're in the hospital. The gunman was shot dead by police. A censure resolution against Minnesota Democrat Congresswoman Ilhan Omar over remarks that she made about Charlie Kirk has failed to advance in the House.
4 House Republicans voted with Democrats to table the legislation, effectively blocking it from receiving its own House-wide vote. The measure was blocked in a narrow 214 to 213 vote. The 4 Republicans are Representatives Mike Flood of Nebraska, Tom McClintock of California, Jeff Hurd of Colorado, and Corey Mills of Florida. McClintock told reporters that while he condemned Omar's response to Kirk's death, he voted against moving forward with the censure based on First Amendment grounds. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
President Trump and British Prime Minister Starmer hold talks today at the Prime Minister's country home Chequers. Today, the final day of Mr. Trump's state visit to the UK. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures up 276 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 234. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Attention investors with a 401k, IRA, or retirement account. The dollar has lost over 25% of its value in the past 5 years, and it's only going to get worse. Are you prepared for what's about to happen next? We are Advantage Gold, the #1 customer-rated gold IRA company in America, and we are helping Americans prepare for the great de-dollarization by diversifying their portfolios with physical precious metals. We've partnered with former chief economist of the IMF, Kenneth Rogoff, to give away his latest book called Our Dollar, Your Problem, a must-read for investors. Call 800-741-GOLD, and we'll rush a free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem to your doorstep, and include our special gold IRA investing kit, valued at $49. The dollar is losing value fast. Call 800-741-GOLD now to get your free copy of Our Dollar, Your Problem, and our free gold IRA investing kit. Supplies are limited. Consult your tax and financial professional before investing. Call 800-741-4653. That's 800-741-GOLD.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
You can join in the mission to remember our fallen heroes, honor those who currently serve and their families, and teach younger generations about the value of freedom. A $17 donation to Wreaths Across America sponsors a fresh balsam remembrance wreath. These wreaths have become a symbol of America's respect for those who have served and no longer walk with us. Sponsor a wreath today. Visit wreathsacrossamerica.org or call 877-385-9504.
Hi, I'm Helene Tobler, culinary nutritionist at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Here we do practical wellness. Dr. Randy and I have a common sense approach to healthcare. My passion is helping our members enjoy better nutrition because food is medicine. We approach problems with a lifestyle foundation and cutting-edge medical tool chest. At Body of Health, it's about being your healthiest you. If you want to experience healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
News, analysis, opinion.
Historic meeting between European leaders, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Trump.
We want to stop the killing, get this settled.
101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Phifer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up! Get up! Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, Governor Mike Kehoe lets us know what his opinion is of sending the troops to the loop. So he's made a statement on that. Anybody hiring, by the way? There's this guy named Jimmy who might need a job.
I got a friend. His name is Jimmy.
He's not a friend. There's a guy named Jimmy. I'm just saying. And a couple of Battle Hawks are competing against each other this week. The competition is designed to be just full of, all right, 6:05 right now. Let's dump some news on you.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
If President Trump follows through and sends troops into St. Louis, he's going to be doing it unilaterally, at least as of right now. Governor Mike Kehoe tells KMOV that he has no plans to deploy the National Guard as a way to boost law enforcement in the city. The president says he's going to send troops into Memphis. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is on board with that decision and actually requested the help. So that's a different situation. Governor Kehoe, obviously a supporter of President Trump, but he is not on board with the federalized National Guard being sent into St. Louis, at least not as of right now. So we have the answer to that question. Finally, right here. Let's do some updates here. We got a lot going on here. Let's see here. Let's start with the suspect in the Charlie Kirk murder here. Law enforcement officials in Utah are giving an update on the arrest of the suspect in the case. We have to say suspect because he hasn't confessed to law enforcement and he hasn't been convicted yet at this point, but we know he did it.
Right.
Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby describing the reasons that Tyler Robinson chose to turn himself in.
Tyler knew it was just inevitable with all the law enforcement pressure that his picture in the news, the gun on the news. He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement.
And Tyler Robinson is facing charges of aggravated murder, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, and felony discharge of a firearm causing serious bodily injury. Utah prosecutors have already announced that they are planning to seek the death penalty.
Yeah.
So it's,
as they should.
Yeah. So the saying I'm fearful of, a SWAT raid or whatever the case is here. At some point, that sounds like a guy who suddenly had reality set in.
Yes. I think he realized what how the inevitable end of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to get there, I think.
Hopefully they do everything by the book and they don't cave into conservative media pressure or public pressure to expedite or overcharge. You've got incredibly serious charges you can get him on. Do it right.
Yep.
Get justice.
Do not fumble this.
Don't be afraid to frustrate people like us in this room right here. That's really where it should be. And it sounds like that's what they're doing at the local level. The feds have gone off, they wanted to run to the cameras and the microphones first thing to pat themselves on the back. They need to just stay out of the way at this point.
Yep.
I think. All right. ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely.
Oh no.
Yeah. Okay. So he basically he parroted the false statement that Tyler Robinson was a MAGA person.
Right. And that
what he said.
And that conservatives were trying to falsely paint him as a lefty. Like that's the narrative, the initial narrative that was coming out.
Right. And this move comes after a threat from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr threatening ABC and owner Disney. Carr tells Fox's Hannity that President Trump has been unfairly attacked by the media, which has not acted in the public interest per their broadcasting license.
These legacy media outlets threw everything at him, almost every single hoax imaginable, right? Biden is sharp as a tack, burying the Hunter Biden laptop story, the Russia collusion hoax. And most politicians would have just gone along with that narrative or not fought at all.
Okay, so Nexstar, which owns many local ABC affiliate stations. ABC doesn't actually own the stations.
Right.
They have affiliates.
They make the content, I guess. They own the content.
Right. So Nexstar barred its affiliates from airing Kimmel in response. Now, later on today, I'm going to play the actual quote. Kimmel actually didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk
specifically.
He was bashing MAGA.
Yeah, and he didn't praise the killer either.
No,
like we've seen other people do.
But here's the thing: is that it's accumulation.
Yes, I think that's ultimately
many years of things on this. Yeah,
because he's been unfairly targeting and lying about conservatives and MAGA in particular and Trump in particular for years now.
Okay, so among others, the ACLU is basically calling this move and threats from the FCC unconstitutional and a threat to First Amendment freedoms because the federal government has been threatening in response to content. So that's where they're at on that.
Honestly, I think they needed an out for him. He was probably losing them money anyway.
Probably.
And they're like, we need an out. And they saw what was happening and they waited for him to say something stupid and they jumped on it.
They didn't have to wait long.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. At the end of this month, the federal government is no longer going to send paper checks pretty much for anything.
No more paper.
Yeah, this is interesting. At least when it comes to benefits like, Social Security and things like tax refunds, the idea is to be more efficient by going digital and saving a lot of money and these processing costs and postage and all this sort of thing. Recipients are going to have to set up direct deposit or use a prepaid debit card to receive their funds. The debit card program is called Direct Express. Some waivers are going to be made for people if they're at least 90 years old, people with specific mental disabilities, and some people who live in extreme remote locations. But if you want to get that waiver and still get a check sent to you, you make an application at godirect.gov. So you can't get your money digitally, but to get a waiver for that, you've got to
go online
and go online.
It's like, yes. Well,
but the idea that basically the Trump administration saying we're going to digitize this and come into the modern world and just do electronic transfer, that makes sense.
And it is going to save a lot of money. The logistics of printing, of putting in envelopes and mailing anything in the federal government is kind of the amount of money they spend on it is kind of crazy.
Right. Even if it's automated, it's still really expensive, not to mention the stamps.
Yeah.
Or the meters. Okay. So FBI Director Kash Patel facing a lot of questions about among other things, the release of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. This was during testimony before the House Judiciary Committee. He was sparring in this soundbite with California Congressman Eric Swalwell. Patel defending the FBI's, shall we say, limited disclosure of files related to Epstein.
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article. Keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
Okay, so Kash Patel did a whole lot of high school deflection when the heat got turned up on him. Now, there were some areas in different areas of questioning I thought he was pretty solid, but basically when it came to Epstein, he couldn't answer the questions or didn't want to, and then just turned around and deflected and did the ad hominem attacks. Kash Patel's in way over his head. I understand he's incredibly loyal to Donald Trump, and a lot of people, appreciate that. But the reality is that Kash Patel's now part of the cover-up.
Yeah. I mean, look, we want the Epstein files. I don't care what excuses you have. Just the next words out of your mouth when we ask you about Epstein is, here's the date that we're going to release it, and we're going to hold you to it. So that's where I am in terms of the Epstein
and I
stuff.
don't think there's a sincere, honest body in Eric Swalwell or bone in Eric Swalwell's body.
Oh gosh, no.
I don't. I mean, so that's what makes this thing even dumber.
Fang sure knows.
This comes one day after Patel told senators that there's no credible evidence that anybody else was involved in Epstein's crimes, which we know is horse hockey.
Yeah, that's
we say.
Very, very judicious use of wording there.
Yeah,
sir.
thank you.
Because I might have said something else.
Yeah. Well, I said something else off air.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yes.
So anyway,
there you go.
Okay. Striking Boeing workers say they're going to vote on a new deal tomorrow.
They're actually going to vote this time?
The thing is that Boeing itself is not involved in the conversation.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Okay. So the local International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers are going to vote on a deal to increase raises, give themselves $10,000 each in a signing bonus, and up the company's 401k match to 8%. Boeing's not made that offer, though. So Boeing hasn't put another offer on the table since the last one.
They're writing their own offer?
They're writing their own offer, and then they're voting on it on Friday.
Okay. I guess. All right.
So the vote doesn't actually do anything other than kind of keep it in the headlines, I guess.
I guess everybody gets a unicorn, too.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right. Cardinals lost yesterday. That's all we need to know.
Making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, get up.
The Washington Guard presents the 4th Annual Patriots Banquet, The Price of Freedom, honoring real American heroes. Join us October 11th at Parish Hall in Union, Missouri. Hear from featured speakers Doug Giles, founder of Warriors and Wild Men, and Marine Colonel Jack Jackson, Harrier jet fighter pilot. Master of Ceremonies Jamie Allman will host this inspiring evening. For tickets, visit thewashingtonguard.com. Use code NewsTalkSTL for $10 off.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933. 314-852-8933. And start packing.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Report cards are a good way to show how well your kids are doing in class and where they might need improvement. We at the Show Me Institute believe schools should get grades too, so parents can see how their child's school compares to others. That's why we came up with the Missouri School Rankings Project. Click on the website moschoolrankings.org and it's all there. Rankings and letter grades for all the schools in Missouri. The rankings are based on categories such as student performance in English language arts and math, ACT scores, and graduation rates. Then we take the rankings and come up with a grade point average, just like your child has. Each school and district has a grade, and the website is easy to use. And now we've added spending data for every district, so parents, taxpayers, and policymakers can see where the money is going. Don't you want to know how your child's school stacks up? Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on NewsTalkSTL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, working to make state government better. That's what we're always trying to do, both Illinois and Missouri side, which, by the way, right around 7:05, State Representative Adam Niemerg from the Illinois Freedom Caucus is going to be with us, give us some updates. They're now using the I word in Illinois. Have you heard about this?
No.
Yeah. They are filing articles of impeachment against Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Wow.
Now,
Okay.
with a supermajority Democratic legislature, the chances of that actually happening
is like negative numbers,
like snowball Hades kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that we put the conversation out there. So we're going to talk to him, talk about the Illinois side right now. Let's get an update on Missouri. Our friend Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity. Pleasantly surprised that you're in town. Hello.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. So let me start with kind of the basics. The second special session. First one, a lot of us weren't real wild about, kind of a debacle. Second one, if nothing else, the Republican majority was incredibly efficient at getting what they wanted done.
Yes.
When you look at, for instance, let's start with the IP reform, initiative petition reform. What do you make of their what their proposal is, what they're going to end up putting on the ballot?
So a majority, it's still a simple majority, but it's a simple majority in all 8 congressional districts.
Right.
So it's obviously going to be a heavier lift.
Mhm.
And I mean, on the flip side, some people have been talking about how that that could work against us at some point too. So, but I think, it's, a lot of us have said that it's, doing something to make it harder to put things into the Constitution is a good thing. And there have been so many plans put forth over so many years that, I think we were all just ready for them to settle on something and get something done, because I think the true test for this is going to be at the ballot, because it's going to be a hard sell. Like somebody told me that they have done polling and polling is pretty favorable for it. So I hope that they are right, but I'm still a little skeptical because it's just so easy to, message against it.
Yeah. So we've seen through this special session that Republicans actually do something, and it's kind of amazing. I'm really happy about that. But do you read this as a renewing of momentum, or can we carry this forward into the regular session, or was this kind of a flash in the pan feel for you?
That's a really good question.
Man, Gabe coming out hot right off the bat.
I'm just saying. Look, I mean, I'm very much in the show me state sort of mold. Right? Show me some
right.
more.
Yes, exactly. So say we all. I think we had some very special circumstances, shall we say, in the couple of special sessions that we've had. But I would say that there is still a lot of optimism that I hear from legislators going into the next session. I know there's a lot of talk about whether or not, the Democrats will just hold everything up kind of in retribution for what's going on right now. I don't know, like the Democrat resistance to what was happening at this special session was less than I anticipated. And they've been regularly shooting themselves in the foot here lately. So I don't know. I think we've got some big things that need to get done, including dealing with a lot of tax issues, property tax, income tax. Like those things are all still on the table, and very immediate needs that need to be dealt with in 2026.
Okay, so because that's where I wanted to go, but I'm going to kind of piggyback off of Gabe's question there, which the Republicans just steamrolled the Democrats on this. They said, this is what we're going to get done. Agree or disagree? They said, this is what's going to get done. Everybody needs to be on board. Any questions? Okay, let's go do it. And then they did it. Okay, so now they know, and we know they can do that.
Right.
With the massive supermajorities that they have. So when we talk about property tax reform, income tax reform, spending, we talk about school choice, we talk about all these things. What is the approach they should take in 2026? And do you see the possibility that they're going to capitalize on that momentum? Because now we know the next Speaker of the House is going to be Alex Riley, who's going to be a big improvement over John Patterson.
Love Alex.
Yeah. And so what kind of momentum is there, not even just for the GOP as a party, but for those big red things, those conservative priorities?
Sure. So I think, there's always the debate between the House and the Senate, right?
Right. Yeah.
Always that contention there. And I think that the truth is that the reason that we have moved things through and some big things through so quickly in the last few months is because there has been a willingness on the part of Senate leadership to work with House leadership, and also on Senate leadership to force the votes through by allowing the call for the previous question. If they have torched nothing else, they have torched the PQ this last time.
That's right. Yep.
So, but the thing is if it became this sacred cow that you couldn't, and you basically let the minority party dictate your agenda. And so, does there need to be a balance? And does the Senate still need to be the deliberative body? Yes, I think so. But I think this willingness to do what you need to do on the big issues and changes that need to happen is very promising. And I think that it'll be interesting to me. I think that we will see that continue, but I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah. Now, we can't not talk about Charlie Kirk, right? And the reaction that has come out on both sides, I think, says something about us culturally. Sure. How would you interpret what you've been seeing in terms of what both conservatives and the left has been saying in the wake of that?
So I think that there's a lot of talk about cancel culture, and everybody's talking about how do we define that. And if I've heard the phrase come out that it's more like consequence culture.
Right.
And so I think that is true. I do think that, if we're talking about government censorship of speech, that is one thing. If you're talking about facing the consequences of your own speech to your neighbors, that's a different thing. Like public accountability for each other, that's okay. Like we should hold each other accountable, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is some value to that public shaming and consequences because, when you talk about people getting fired in businesses and how they respond, like whether we like it or not, and yes, what we do in our personal time is our personal business, but we are still a reflection on the people that we work for. So there's an element of that there.
Yeah. And that's one of those things where I think leading by example is going to be key here, because we're going to talk a lot about, for instance, Jimmy Kimmel, getting canceled. Matt Walsh had some interesting things on cancel versus consequence sort of culture regarding here. But I think as much as anything else, this is illuminating the divides, not causing, but illuminating them.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing I think about all the time with this is kind of, I'm always thinking like, where do we go from here? Like, what is the outcome of this? Because I do think that people need to experience the consequences of their behavior, right? But it is, I guess the question for me is always will they learn from it? Because at some point, if we're going to bring the temperature down and we're going to learn to live together, like they have to learn the lesson that's to be learned in this. And I don't know. The one thing that I will say for our own side, for the right, like the one thing I will say I don't care for is out of every tragedy always comes the tendency toward more authoritarianism.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I just like that, like gives me the heebie-jeebies because I understand the desire for that and to just, crush the opposition, you know what I'm saying? But there have been things that have talked about the use of force of the government to do those things. And boy, I just hope that we can really stay away from that.
Yep.
I was really glad to see so much opposition on the right to, the things that Pam Bondi was coming out talking about.
Well, and she did. I mentioned when all that broke, I said, we're probably going to get a clarification statement. Which we did because somebody pulled her inside and said, Madam Attorney General, you need to read this thing. It's called the First Amendment. And somebody actually explained the First Amendment to her. But it was because, the left throwing a fit about what she said, who cares? I mean, they're going to throw a fit about anything that the Trump administration does. Yeah, it was actual conservatives going, no.
Right.
You don't get to do that.
Yeah, that was encouraging to see that, especially in the climate right now.
Right, precisely. Okay, so we're visiting with Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity, Missouri's chapter. And so last few minutes we've got, you mentioned things need to get done in 2026. Why is it such a priority right now as opposed to 2027, 2028? And which of the things must get done this year? I mean, which issues have the highest level of urgency for you all?
Sure. So I think that top of mind for everybody right now is the property tax issue, whether it's real property or personal property, both of those things. And so there are a lot of proposals for how do we deal with that. There were some bills that were actually heard during special session, even though they weren't part of the call. But I think this is their way of kind of starting to flesh out some of these things. And there were a lot of issues with those bills that are going to have to be worked on. And this is the process that we have to go through. So the other, still on the tax issue, if we are going to get income tax elimination done, 2026 is really practically going to be the year to do it. If we wait longer than this year, the likeliness decreases, exponentially every year. But I do think that we can do both things. And, one of the things that I am looking into right now on behalf of AFP for Missouri is something that would work on the property tax issue called truth in taxation. It's basically what it is it would require your local governments to notify you anytime they are considering doing something that impacts your property taxes locally. They have to mail you something so that because that's part of the problem here is that people don't know this is going on until all of a sudden it's on the ballot. Right. And then people don't know that it's on the ballot and very few people are voting on it. And you get these taxes in place and so anyway, we need more transparency in government. So there are a lot of different ways that we need to come at these. And I think, there are a lot of good ideas out there. And I think we can get it done.
Election years, 2026 being an election year, it encourages some politicians to get really timid.
Yeah.
For the big things.
Yeah.
Can we avoid that this year?
I think the things that we're looking at doing are maybe not necessarily the things that they should be timid about. You know what I'm saying? They're not necessarily the hot social issues that, we have been dealt with over the last year or two. And so I don't think that there's as much of that this time around. I will say that, something that everybody is looking at for people who are running for office right now is the school choice issue. Yes. And that is because we know right now that 2027 will be the year that we deal with a lot of that in the legislature. So, that if people ask, why are you asking us about this all the time? It's because you are the people who are going to be in office in 2027. That will be the year that we're working on that.
Yep, absolutely. Website, social media. I think we've already tagged you, right, Gabe?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, but people want to keep track and hopefully they'll get on like your mailing list because you've got all these events all over the state, and local stuff as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll know and join you for one of those.
You bet. Yes. We, afpmissouri.com. You can find all of our stuff there. AFP Missouri on all of the socials. We just did a how to testify in committee hearings training last night. Here in the St. Louis County area. So we are preparing for our next session already and getting people geared up.
And that was for like us regular people.
That's right.
Who aren't politicians. And
That's right.
That's the great part, because that makes a big difference.
Yes. Yes.
I do not recall. sorry. No,
that's different kind of testimony.
I'm having flashbacks. I'm sorry. I'm having flashbacks.
All right, Camellia, great to see you. Thanks so much. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway. Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it often hides in plain sight. Be alert. People who seem fearful, isolated, or who don't have their ID or money may need your help. To share a tip, call the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888. Together, we can protect victims and stop trafficking in Missouri.
Paid for by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
President Trump says the U.S. military has blown up a third Venezuelan drug boat. We'll talk to Steve Bucci about how the Venezuelans plan to retaliate.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Jefferson County Councilman Billy Crow with a reminder to check out our new show, Jeffco Patriot Radio, this and every Sunday at high noon. Now, back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, conservatives want to know, and we're about to get the answer. Why did a Republican vote against a resolution recognizing Charlie Kirk in St. Louis County? It is 6:34 right now. We're now joined by St. Louis County Councilman Dennis Hancock. And Dennis, appreciate you being on the program here, because I'm curious. I want to know as well. And let's be real honest. There's some Republicans that are mad at you right now. So the resolution was proposed. It failed on a 5-2 vote, so which means that it wasn't going to pass anyway. Why did you decide to vote against that resolution recognizing Charlie Kirk and before the council?
Well, thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it. And first, I want to make sure that everybody understands that my thoughts and prayers are with Charlie's family. I can't imagine what they're going through right now. To lose their husband, father, especially with young kids, their life ahead is going to be rough. I have a lot of respect for what Charlie had to say about the First Amendment and First Amendment rights, but I also have a duty to the council and to the people I represent. And so I see the county council as the last line of defense for taxpayers, property owners, and citizens against Sam Page's partisan, liberal, and careless management. And right now we have a working coalition on the council, 3 Democrats and 3 Republicans, and we're able to do the things that we need, that I just said, hold the line against Sam Page. And we have to keep that coalition together. So when I started listening to the discussion and listened to what my colleagues on the council had to say, I realized that we were in a position where that whole coalition could blow up in our faces very quickly. And so I thought it was more important to take a stand against Sam Page than to take a stand, a meaningless stand against, in favor of a resolution for Charlie Kirk. And that's what it all comes down to, is just trying to keep things moving forward in St. Louis County, rather than go back to the days when Democrats did whatever they wanted to do and the Republicans had no voice.
So if I'm hearing you right, I mean, would the Democrats have been that upset to blow up that working relationship if you were to vote for this? Because I mean, it would have failed anyway. It would have been 4-3 with your vote.
Right. No. Yes. I am that concerned that it's that fragile. This was. I didn't realize what an emotional issue this was for them, and I don't think any of us did. And so, by standing, with my colleagues on the council, I just felt like it was the right thing to do, and to keep things moving forward in St. Louis County.
Okay, so then what's then the message to, for instance, the Republicans? I know that some of the young Republicans showed up, and a lot of conservatives showed up, and there's so much tension right now. And Charlie Kirk, I don't think caused it. I think it's illuminating it, as we were just talking about a few minutes ago. So then to the Republicans, to the conservatives who are not happy with your vote, then what's the message to them moving forward, especially as you're running for the nomination for county executive?
Well, I think that, first and foremost, I'm a pragmatist. If I'm going to run and we're going to change and the Republicans are going to be successful next year, we have to be pragmatic about some things. And because if we're not in a position to do something, we can't do anything. And so we have to put ourselves in a position to do that. And I know that sounds self-serving and a few other, whatever other adjectives you want to use. But we have to turn the ship of state around in St. Louis County, and until we get somebody, a Republican or a conservative, in the county executive's office, that's not going to happen. So that's what I'm looking to do, and that's my message going forward is, we're not going to agree on 100% of every issue. And Charlie, was an advocate of it's okay for us to disagree, to have different points of view. And I would suggest to those folks who are skeptical of my Republican credentials, look at my record. I'll put my record up against anybody's, as far as my record on fiscal responsibility, on being a good steward of taxpayer dollars. I was the advocate and the shepherd for the senior tax freeze, which will help an awful lot of people in St. Louis County stay in their homes. So I'm comfortable with where I am, and I'm comfortable with my positions.
Good morning, Dennis. Gabe Phifer here. So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm reading this incorrectly, it sounds like you were probably a yes vote before you got into the room, but once the conversation started going, you kind of had to make a sort of game day decision on it. Is that, am I reading that correctly? That once you kind of got a beat on where your fellow members on the council were on this issue, that you realized the fragile detente, I guess, was in danger.
That's pretty. I'd say that's a good way to put it, Gabe. It sometimes you have to read the room, and sometimes you're better at it than others. And I think I read it correctly this time.
We're visiting with Dennis Hancock, St. Louis County Councilman, and I do want to get to a couple of the actual county issues here in just a second. One of the things that has been pointed out by a number of Republicans, and I talked to Mark Harder about this the other day, is the council has passed resolutions in support of Planned Parenthood and resolutions regarding George Floyd and Michael Brown. So this kind of like left wing celebratory list, and so you all are just outvoted on those. So why would that not blow up a coalition? Whereas one, and I think he even took the word honoring out, just recognizing Charlie Kirk. Why would that have blown something up when some of these left-wing things didn't?
Well, I think that what the dynamic is such that, if the Democrats are proposing it, they don't expect us to go along with it. And I don't, if it's especially on something like Planned Parenthood or something like, and we've taken our shots at them on that. There was an incident a few months ago when I was the acting chair for one of the meetings, and I didn't let the county executive present a proclamation to the Planned Parenthood group that was there to receive it, because it wasn't a council proclamation. None of the Democrats were upset about that. In fact, most of them came up to me afterwards and thanked me for doing that. So we can work together on some, and we all recognize there are going to be some issues that we're not going to agree with them on, and those are the ones that we typically, the votes are 4-3, but they're still 4-3 at the end of the day.
Okay, so let me follow up. You just mentioned the senior property tax freeze. Boy, the implementation of this in St. Louis County has been a mess. The administration of it's been a mess after you all approved it. So what's the update on getting people basically access to applying for that property tax freeze and then the processing of those applications? Because, man, there's a lot of people, I think, who just don't know what's going on. You all approved it, you all passed it, and it's there, but for some reason on the administrative side, it's just not getting done the way it should.
Yeah, I know it is a mess, and I think a lot of that is by design. I think that Sam Page didn't want this to go in the first place, and so I think they made it as difficult as they could. Right now, the where it stands is the application process closed June the 30th. And they've been reviewing the applications, and I believe we heard the other night there are about 7,500 applications still to be reviewed that need additional documentation. To that end, they've reopened the walk-in offices in West County and in South County and at Northwest Crossing to enable people to come in, get with the documents they need and get them processed. But that has to be finished by the end of September. So folks have about a week and a half to get this done. And there's no appointments necessary. You just walk in with your documents and you should be able to walk out with your application approved. That said, recently we passed some things that hopefully will make it easier in the future. We clarified the situation with what taxes the freeze applies to. It now applies to all property taxes with the exception of the blind pension fund, which is controlled by the state constitution. We also passed a resolution last week that clearly states that we don't expect property owners to have to reapply every year. That should help everyone, including the employees at the county going forward, because if you've applied and you've been approved, you're good to go till something changes in your circumstance. Either you sell your house or something along those lines. So I think we've made changes to the good. The proof's going to be in the pudding, but I think we're in about as good a place as we're going to be for a good while.
All right, Dennis, what's the website and social media? And let me just tell you, thank you for coming on, because when I texted you yesterday, you knew you were going to get some tough pointed questions. So I appreciate you coming on and facing those.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. My website for the campaign is Hancock for County Council, countyexecutive.com. And, I will tell you, I've gotten some interesting phone calls and some interesting messages, but actually most of them have been, I would consider them to be positive. Some of them are less so. One person said they hoped that I died the most painful death that I could.
Jeez.
So we'll see how that all works out.
Yeah. All right, Dennis. Good chat with you again. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Dennis.
Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right. Got any thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. Okay. So we're going to put, of course, we know these discussions end up on the podcast as well. That's also a good way to share the conversation and then post it and post what you think on social media and get those opinions and that conversation going.
Also, this is your last call for 80s bump music. So no pressure, but if you want to hear it, got to submit it. So this week's theme was TV and movie themes, not
are we doing that?
Not from the songs from the soundtrack, but the actual theme song.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah, we got some interesting things, and that's what they want. That's what they're going to get.
Okay.
So
All right.
Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
I have to tell you, if this is how they're going to behave, I'm rethinking my position.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Bunny Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Bunny Radio every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeBunnyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the great Window World. Just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
Would you like to win a full season of mosquito and tick protection? Tim Jones here, the new Mosquito Nix team in St. Louis, celebrating their launch with a bite-free backyard sweepstakes. One lucky family will get their entire yard protected. 10 others will get a free fogging treatment just for entering. Call 636-698-1980 now to enter. 636-698-1980. Keep your yard safe and your summer itch-free. Service area restrictions do apply. Mosquito Nix offers permanent, automatic mosquito and tick protection. It's not just fogging, it's real coverage you don't have to think about. They've already helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Visit MosquitoNix.com to learn more. That's MosquitoNix.com, 636-698-1980 to enter the backyard sweepstakes. Keep your yard safe, your summer bite free, 636-698-1980.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Love the music you hear on the morning show? Check out Mike's morning music playlist at NewsTalkSTL.com.
All right, here's what's going on. Governor Kehoe lets us know his opinion when it comes to sending troops into the Lou. Also, Jimmy Kimmel, he gone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
Goodbye.
He's gone. We're going to get some thoughts on that.
No.
And a couple of Battle Hawks are now competing with each other off the field. That's going to happen tomorrow, and you can be a part of it. I'll tell you all about it here in a moment. It is 6:50. Let's dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. If President Trump follows through and sends military troops into St. Louis, he's going to be doing it unilaterally. So at least as of right now, here's where we're at. Governor Kehoe tells KMOV that he has no plans to deploy the National Guard as a way to boost law enforcement in the city. The president says he's going to send troops into Memphis after, of course, taking over Washington, D.C. In that case, though, Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is on board with that decision. Governor Kehoe didn't bash President Trump or anything, basically saying we have the same goal, but this isn't the tactic that I intend to use.
Yeah.
On that, which I can respect that.
Yeah, that's fine.
I actually think that's correct.
Yeah, right now it's like I said, I can understand the concept of basically a surge in order to get order back into the city, but I'm not sure right now is the time, and I think Governor Kehoe is probably making the right call.
I think he is, exactly. All right, law enforcement officers in Utah gave an update on the arrest of Tyler Robinson, the man who shot Charlie Kirk. Now, we have to say the suspect, but we know that he did it.
Yeah.
So Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby described the reasons that Tyler Robinson chose to turn himself in.
Tyler knew it was just inevitable with all the law enforcement pressure that his picture in the news, the gun on the news. He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement.
Okay, so the Utah authorities are pursuing the death penalty. They have made that official.
Right. Yep. And I think it should be a non-negotiable at this point.
Yeah. All right. ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely. Now that's an official business way of saying we're done.
Yeah.
But we need to find the legal paperwork exit strategy. So right now it's suspended indefinitely.
Right. And this isn't nearly as nice of an exit as Stephen Colbert got, right? Because he got the month-long cry session of was it a month?
Like a year long.
It was
almost a year.
That's right. A cry session about we've been stymied and censored and blah blah blah, and
so he gets to stomp his feet.
He gets to stomp his feet. Yeah, whatever. But for Kimmel, he's off it.
He's done.
They're looking for fill-in shows essentially for his time slot.
Yeah, because what's going on is that a company called Nexstar, which owns many ABC affiliates, said we're going to preempt it. We're done with the show, which means ABC had to react to that as well. Let's see here. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr was on Hannity last night, and he says that the networks know that taking Kimmel off the air, in his opinion, is in the public interest.
From laugh lines to applause lines. They went from being court jesters that would make fun of everybody in power to being court clerics and enforcing a very narrow political ideology.
Okay, now remember, cable stations are not subject to the same rules on this. So the question then gets into, okay, is the federal government pressuring them based on ideology and opposition to the administration? I think that what Kimmel said in the 7 o'clock hour, I'll play the quote for you. I think this is more of a culmination of ABC finally being pushed into, this guy is a dead weight on us because he is so deranged against political opponents. So Kimmel brought this on himself.
Yeah,
I don't feel bad for him.
Yeah, I think this latest bit was a straw, but it was the last straw.
Yes.
And I think that's what happened. And by the way, just so people understand, these affiliates, they are the revenue stream for companies like ABC. ABC produces the content, and then they distribute them, and then they get money from the distributors. And if the distributors say, you know what, I don't like this anymore, then that's done. It's done. There's no money.
Because the networks sell advertising at a national level, and the local affiliates get so much advertising time the national does.
Right.
And then if all of a sudden an advertiser says, wait a minute, you mean I'm not going to be on 2/3 of your stations or whatever, half of the stations? Wait a minute, I'm not paying for that advertising. So it's a market decision in addition to a political one. Let's see here. Striking Boeing workers say they're going to vote on a new deal tomorrow. That's going to happen tomorrow.
Okay, so Boeing offered a new deal?
No, the thing is, Boeing itself was not even involved in that conversation.
so they made up a deal.
Yeah.
And they're just like, hey, let's vote on this.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. The local International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers They're going to vote on a deal to increase their wages, give themselves $10,000 each in a signing bonus, and then up the company's 401k match to 8%. But Boeing hasn't made that offer. Boeing is basically, let me translate, Boeing is saying, what the heck? We weren't involved in that conversation. This is just a stunt. So the Boeing workers are going to make a big show of voting on a deal. See, we've got a deal with, and Boeing's like, we weren't even involved in this. What are you talking about?
Mike, it's 2005 and your kids have gotten together to vote on on an increase in their allowance, the number of desserts they're allowed for dinner. Yeah, and then they're going to vote on it and present it to you as this is the new deal, Dad.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Good Lord. All right. 2 Battlehawks are competing against each other on Friday, and it is to help families in the St. Louis area. This is kind of fun. Cam Kelly and Jake Sutherland. Sutherland's been on the show a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
They are competing to see who can bring in the most donations of diapers.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, to the St. Louis area diaper bank, and that serves about 2,500 children each month.
All right.
They hope to collect 200,000 diapers. Donations can be dropped off at the Diaper Bank's warehouse, which is on Etzel Avenue in the city between 10 and 6 tomorrow. Both Kelly and Sutherland will be there in person starting at 3 p.m.
Let's go.
Now, the Free Market Minute, brought to you by the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
Hi, it's Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show, and I'm here with Dr. Grant Black. And Grant, capitalism, that is increasingly under attack. But why is the free market system so important?
The simple answer, society is much better off because of free markets. Free markets allow individuals and business owners to freely choose what to consume, how to save, where to live and do business, what to produce, and how to protect our valuable resources, and so much more. And this can all happen without requiring heavy government interference. In a nutshell, free markets empower people to live their lives the way they choose. And this makes all our lives better.
The John W. Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University fosters and examines market-oriented approaches to economic and social issues. To learn more, visit hammondinstitute.org.
Yes, it's been really hot and humid, but fall and winter right around the corner. Tim Jones here to tell you, time to get a hold of Chad Hansen and the gang at Hansen's Tree Service for your home or your business. Grinding, land clearing, green waste recycling, tree consulting, removal, or pruning. The organic mulch from Hansen's a wonderful addition to beautify and spruce up all your landscape beds. They offer substantial volume discounts for bulk orders and emergency tree removal. Just go to hansenstree.com. That's hansenstree.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Hi, I'm Mark Sutherland, founder of Stone Ledge Distillery, and I'd like to give you a bottle of Stolock whiskey or Inversion vodka. Enter now at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come experience our tasting room in historic Defiance. Enjoy Stolock whiskey, Inversion vodka, and other Missouri-made spirits, wine, and craft beer in our beautiful cocktail lounge, cigar room, or out on the patio with live music every weekend. Don't forget, win a bottle of Stolock or Inversion at stoneledgedistillery.com/win. Come raise a glass in Defiance.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. Amit Thomason. President Trump is advancing his law and order agenda.
Antifa
is terrible.
President Trump asked by a reporter Monday if he would designate Antifa as a domestic terror organization.
I would do that 100%, and others also, by the way.
Now he's amplifying that with a social media post calling Antifa a sick, dangerous, radical left disaster and saying he'll designate it as a major terrorist organization. On Monday, he added,
I've been speaking to the Attorney General about bringing RICO against some of the people that you've been reading about that have been putting up millions and millions of dollars for agitation. These aren't protests. These are crimes, what they're doing.
And Thomas, Washington.
And the president will soon wrap up his historic second state visit to England. Yesterday, all about pomp and pageantry. Today, Mr. Trump and British Prime Minister Starmer hold talks at the Prime Minister's country home, expected to focus on economic issues along with the war in Ukraine and Gaza. They died in the line of duty. 3 police officers fatally shot in York County, Pennsylvania yesterday afternoon while serving a warrant. 2 other officers wounded. They're in the hospital. Governor Josh Shapiro.
I want law enforcement to know how much we care about them and respect them. I want this hospital team to know how much they matter in this community. And most importantly, I want these families to know that we're all grieving with them and praying for them and that they're not alone.
The gunman was shot dead by police. President Trump is applauding ABC's decision to suspend Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show indefinitely following remarks he made about the assassination of Charlie Kirk. The president congratulating the network for its courage in taking Kimmel off the air. On Wall Street, stock futures sharply higher this morning. The Dow futures are up 250 points. NASDAQ futures 270 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
They say timing is everything in the gold and silver markets, and it's true. Dennis Prager here for AmFed Coin and Bullion. Although you can buy at the right time, if you buy the wrong coins, you may not make a profit. When gold was $400 an ounce, many people were talked into buying high-grade old gold and silver collector's coins. Unfortunately, most of the people who bought these so-called semi-numismatic coins, like the $20 St. Gordon's and Liberty Head gold coins, have not broken even on their investment. Incredible, given that gold has risen approximately 525% since then. So while timing is everything, if you buy the wrong coins, the timing simply doesn't matter. Having a dealer who cares about positioning you in the right types of coins or bullion will mean more to your portfolio than anything else. That's why I deal with Nick Rovich and AmFed Coin and Bullion. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. Or go to AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Gabe Phifer.
It's the sugar honey iced tea, baby.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, the conservative conscience of the Illinois Republicans, otherwise known as the Freedom Caucus, they're saying it out loud now, guys. Governor J.B. Pritzker should face impeachment.
Ooh,
yeah,
they're using the I word,
dropping
the I bomb.
We are now joined by State Representative Adam Niemerg, and Adam, great to have you back on the program here. Like Gabe said, you guys just use the I word. Man, that's like the big thing in politics. So let's start with what's actually been done. Have the articles actually been proposed and filed at this point?
Yes, thank you for having me on here this morning. And I filed those articles of impeachment Friday afternoon against Governor J.B. Pritzker for his hateful rhetoric, and we're looking forward to the future on this. It's time to impeach the governor.
Okay, so give me a rundown of what the accusations are in the article. You talked about his hateful rhetoric. What are the things that he's done? There's one thing to say he's wrong about basically everything.
Because he is.
But what is it that rises to the level of impeachment?
Well, what we're seeing here in the last few days after the articles have been filed, and we see the left with a complicit media, Governor J.B. Pritzker and his consulting team gaslighting the Illinois people and quite frankly, the people of this country. So on his State of the State, and he's denying he said this, but it's right here, his State of the State, he compared Republicans to Nazis in his State of the State. He said, again, that on a separate occasion that Republicans essentially need a punch in the face, and that they must abandon conventional political fight and that they must become street fighters. And then he said, these Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. And since these incendiary comments, we see a Minnesota state legislator and her spouse shot and killed, 2 Israeli embassy staffers shot and killed. And now we see quite frankly, the political assassination of Charlie Kirk. And my prayers and our continued support goes out to Charlie and his family. But for the governor to then say, oh, we're going to blame Donald Trump in January 6th for what happened to Charlie was enough. So Friday, I filed articles of impeachment against the governor for his incendiary behavior, his hateful rhetoric. You see, this rhetoric doesn't fall upon deaf ears. Okay, folks listen to what the governor says. Unfortunately, he's one of the leaders of the Democrat Party in the state of Illinois and quite frankly, maybe the country. But what he says, words matter. And for him to say that Republicans are Nazis and we need punched in the face, they must abandon the conventional political fight and become street fighters, and that Republicans shall not know a moment of peace. This rhetoric must be called out for what it is, and the governor must be impeached.
Morning, Adam. Gabe Phifer here. So, I mean, as right as you may be on calling out the dangerous rhetoric that I think Democrats have been putting out, and going as far as in calling for impeachment. You know, we look at the makeup of the Illinois, legislature, and we're saying, well, this isn't going anywhere. So then, of course, the critics will come out and they'll say, well, why even bother doing this? What are you looking to accomplish?
Well, what we're looking, and first off, I've been getting that question a lot, and quite frankly, that shouldn't stop us from doing what's right. Okay, because I do understand the political makeup of the General Assembly. I've been listening to the Democrats for 4.5 years and watching them pass the most radical, evil legislation in this entire country. So I understand that the Democrats in the House will not pick up these articles of impeachment, but that should not stop us from doing what's right, for calling out Governor J.B. Pritzker and his hateful rhetoric, for getting this on record, for getting this information out, because otherwise, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and I've seen it this last 4 days, will gaslight, he will lie, and then he's got a willing Chicago media that's bought and paid for by him that will get right lockstep behind him, and then nothing will change and nothing will happen. People throughout this country need to know what Governor J.B. Pritzker stands for. They need to know that he says these things. And then he comes back and says, oh, I didn't say that. We have to have peace and stability. No, we know what he said. We know what he means, and we know what he wants. So to sit back and say, well, we're just going to continue to let this happen, I can't allow that. We have to do what's right. We have to stand firm on our principles, and we need to impeach Governor J.B. Pritzker. Okay, so according to Illinois law and the Illinois Constitution, then what are the next steps? I mean, now that you've filed these, is there anything that must happen? And we know what the odds are with the Illinois Assembly, like you just said, but what happens next with the articles? Well, first off, we need co-sponsors. So anybody that's listening, call your state rep, call your state senator, ask them to push these articles of impeachment. But the actual legislative process is for it to go to the House. The House has the authority to begin these proceedings, and then it goes to the Senate. The Senate actually does the legislative work on logistically laying this out, and then it comes to a vote, and then we go from there. That would be the actual process.
Okay, and is the House required to take it up if there are so many sponsors, or is this something that the Democrats could try to brush under the rug and try to pretend that it never happened?
Oh, they'll brush it under the rug and pretend it never happened. I mean, I'm not going to, tell folks out there that that's not going to happen. The Democrat playbook is in full force right now. They're in full cleanup mode. The governor's hateful rhetoric, Republicans shall not know a moment of peace. And I honestly, folks, I was texted, when this was happening. People were sending me texts, and I pulled up the video multiple times from different people sending it to me, and I quite frankly can't get that out of my head. The moment where Charlie was shot, I can't get that out of my head. And to say the things that he is saying and have zero accountability is unacceptable. And for the Democrats just to brush it under the rug is unacceptable. They'll be complicit in the governor's actions, and we'll make sure that people know. Just like during the COVID mitigation standards, letting the governor rule for years unchecked. I was very loud against that. So people know what the governor has said, that what the governor means and what his hateful rhetoric is doing to this country. And for the governor to gaslight, to lie about what he has said, to try to deflect is unacceptable, and we have to stand against it.
Yeah, I'm still not convinced he didn't violate the law in a variety of ways when he held on to that power for so long. We're visiting with State Representative Adam Niemerg. Okay, last few minutes that we've got here, Adam. One of the things that we've talked about, he's so wrong about, obviously, his conflict with, President Trump, but he doesn't want ICE and federal law enforcement in Illinois finding and arresting illegal aliens. And I wouldn't say it seems like he is siding with illegal aliens over United States citizens. What's the update and what's the status on his battle with federal law enforcement like ICE? Because that's a whole different thing than the whole National Guard conversation. We're talking about federal law enforcement going into those who have violated federal laws. So what's been the impact of ICE in Chicago and places like this? And then what's the status of the pushback against it?
Well, I had the opportunity to listen to Tom Homan speak several weeks ago, and I'm going to tell you, that man, he is doing an outstanding job, and he cares wholeheartedly about what this country is and saving this constitutional republic. And moreover, he was very firm and passionate about saving the 300,000 kids that have been put into sex trafficking through the cartels as a result of Joe Biden's open border policies. He is just a very passionate person. And he said, there's a reason why my guys wear masks, because they're in danger from the radical left and what they're trying to do to tear down this country. But, we see Governor J.B. Pritzker just recently in Chicago. There was an illegal immigrant that was shot and killed because that illegal immigrant, assaulted and almost murdered an ICE agent. And instead of coming out and saying, okay, what happened here, what took place, obviously there was an issue, and we need to look into it, and kind of siding with ICE. He put out on X a statement that basically chastised ICE and called for full and transparent accountability from ICE. So he blames ICE for this. He doesn't say, okay, we need to look into it. We need to figure out what happened here. His tweet essentially blamed ICE for what took place, and you're absolutely right. He's been siding with criminal illegal aliens in the state of Illinois for years. We're a sanctuary state. Chicago's a sanctuary city. We spent $3.4 billion, folks, on illegal immigration in the state of Illinois. We had to raise taxes by $1 billion to fund this year's $55 billion budget. And I'm telling you, we have no safety and security with the Safety Act. These folks are, it's a catch and release program. Violent illegals are running rampant on the streets of Chicago and major cities. Just in Champaign, there was a young lady that was, in a traffic accident that was murdered by an illegal immigrant in Champaign, University of Illinois campus. So for Governor J.B. Pritzker to think he can lead folks in the state of Illinois is false. And moreover, we have to make sure he has political aspirations to be the next president of the United States. That cannot happen.
Yep, absolutely. State Representative Adam Niemerg, Illinois Freedom Caucus. Get involved and follow what they do. You all are still doing the weekly video cast, live broadcast on that, talking about stuff what's happening in Illinois. But what are the best ways for people to follow what you're doing, and especially those who are listening in Illinois, but I would hope the Missouri people will listen too. How do they follow you, where they get in touch, and how do they connect with you?
Absolutely. Thank you very much. You can go to Adam Niemerg, State Representative on X. I'm very active on X. You can go to State Representative Adam Niemerg for State Representative. You can Google or search either one of those on Facebook. I've been putting a lot of stuff on Facebook. I have a petition on Facebook. Go to my Facebook page, sign it to impeach the governor. And thanks again for having me on this morning.
You got it, Adam. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Adam. Another one bites the dust.
Another one.
We got another one, guys. Now you've heard the news. Jimmy Kimmel gets canceled. Hear what he actually said to earn a long vacation at 720.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Before you blow us all away.
Colombo and Company.
Join us every day for conversations with a wide variety of guests as we cover every angle of all the important news stories and issues you need to know about.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Looking for unbelievable deals? Stop by Overstock Outlet in Lake St. Louis or Warrenton. Open 7 days a week. Discover big savings on a huge variety of merchandise with no hassle. Just great prices. Visit us in Lake St. Louis on Highway N or in Warrenton on Boones Lake. Check out our Facebook page at Overstock Outlet Lake St. Louis. Or go online to OverstockOutletSTL.com. Unbeatable value, friendly service, and you never know what we'll have at Overstock Outlet.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
Are you stuck on the blood sugar roller coaster? Afternoon crashes, cravings, stubborn belly fat? I'm Dr. Brian Deloney, and this week on Simply Health, now available without a prescription, we're exposing how blood sugar impacts your weight, energy, and hormones, even if you don't have diabetes. So don't miss it.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
When precision matters, trust the experts who live and breathe firearms. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. Veteran owned and operated by competitive shooters who know what it takes to win. From reloading supplies and accessories to custom rifles and cutting-edge night vision, we've got everything you need. Plus, get precision rifle training from the pros. Full Circle Reloading and Firearms. 923 South 5th Street in St. Charles, or visit FullCircleReloading.com.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
From Hollywood, it's Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Oh, wait, somebody unplugged him.
Oh,
what happened? Jimmy,
are you okay?
Jimmy, where'd you go? He's gone.
Something happened to him.
Yeah. All right.
Did the affiliates decide something?
They might have. Jimmy Kimmel. He gone. At least for now.
Right.
Okay.
Until somebody else gives them a job.
Right. So,
Maybe
for instance,
MSNBC.
does this mean we're never going to hear from Jimmy Kimmel again? Unfortunately, not.
No. Somebody's going to give him a job.
But I do think I do think he's done on late night on network television.
Yes.
You know, and there's a difference. You know, I don't mean to get all wonky and stuff, but there's a little bit of a difference. But I think he's gone for a while. You probably heard the news that ABC has indefinitely suspended Jimmy Kimmel. Okay, so what that really means is that we have a contract with Jimmy Kimmel and we got to find a way out of this thing.
Right.
So we're going to get rid of him, but we got to figure out how to do it. So I'll give you the chain of events here in just a moment. 7:20 right now. So the basic details of this is that ABC, they own either no or almost no actual television stations. A lot of people don't realize that.
Right. The parent company ABC.
Right. The network itself.
Even if there are some of these local affiliates that they say something ABC or ABC, I don't know, Ohio or whatever, they're not actually owned by parent company ABC.
It's an affiliation, as the word implies. It is a deal. So one of the largest owners of ABC affiliates is a company called Nexstar. And I'm looking at their very brief press release they put out. Let me just read it. Nexstar Media Group Incorporated today announced that the company's owned and partner television stations affiliated with the ABC television network will preempt Jimmy Kimmel Live for the foreseeable future, beginning with tonight's show, meaning yesterday. Nexstar strongly objects to recent comments made by Mr. Kimmel concerning the killing of Charlie Kirk and will replace the show with other programming in its ABC affiliated markets. And there's a quote here. Mr. Kimmel's comments about the death of Mr. Kirk are offensive and insensitive at a critical time in our national political discourse, and we do not believe they reflect the spectrum of opinions, views, or values of the local communities in which we are located, said Andrew Alford, president of Nexstar's broadcasting division. Going on with the quote here. Continuing to give Mr. Kimmel a broadcast platform in the communities we serve is simply not in the public interest at the current time, and we have made the difficult decision to preempt his show in an effort to let cooler heads prevail as we move toward the resumption of respectful, constructive dialogue. End of quote.
Wow.
So the key part here, which for most people wasn't going to jump out, but us broadcasting types, in the public interest. So the FCC, which obviously regulates broadcast stuff, the key thing is when you get your license, you have to operate in the public interest. Well, Mike, what does that mean? They don't say.
Right. They leave it very, very vague.
Very vague. And so basically with Nexstar saying this is no longer in the public interest because of the hatefulness, because of the bias and everything else they're referring to, they have basically an incredibly strong defense if there's any sort of lawsuit or contractual dispute. So Jimmy Kimmel's running out of options to try to legally claim his his place if he's going to try to do that. So here's what he actually said that everybody is reacting to. Now here's the thing though. When you see all the social media headlines, Jimmy Kimmel says disgusting thing about Charlie Kirk's murder. Judge for yourself. Here's actually what he said.
The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, so he actually didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk. He was going after the MAGA movement and the supporters of Donald Trump. That's what he was doing.
Yeah, and he wasn't praising the murderer like a lot of these people who we've watched gleefully get canceled have been doing. So it is interesting to me that this was. I don't think a particularly offensive thing that he said in the wider spectrum.
It was dishonest. It was stupid.
Absolutely,
it was still gross.
Oh, absolutely. It's certainly impugning the character of MAGA, but that's kind of his brand, right?
Yeah,
is impugning the character of MAGA. So I guess in the larger spectrum of what has been said, and what has been how people have responded to the Charlie Kirk murder, his was very mild. Which suggests that there's something bigger going on.
Right, because there's still no excuse for Jimmy Kimmel's for years.
Oh gosh, no.
So to me, what this looks like is the market finally said, we've had enough of you. You have been gross, dishonest, biased. You have abused your your platform
and alienated half our audience.
Yeah, and we're done with you. So Jimmy Kimmel brought this on himself.
Absolutely.
Now, how about this? And this isn't the show sheet. I found another soundbite just a little bit ago. This is off of CNN. Chuck Schumer was asked about this decision. Now, keep in mind that Nexstar is a private company.
Yeah,
I mean they're publicly traded, but it's a business.
Yeah,
and ABC Network is a private business, and they have both made the decision to can Jimmy Kimmel. But here's what Chuck Schumer. Here's his take on this.
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy. And I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Okay.
Wow. That's quite the diatribe against complete inaction by the Trump administration.
Let me say this very, very clearly. Nobody is taking away Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights.
Right.
Chucky Schumer there says he has a right to free speech. Absolutely, he does.
He can continue to speak.
There are no private businesses who have an obligation to platform him.
Yeah.
When he decides to abuse that and be really gross and dishonest.
Yes.
For years.
Yeah.
He can still do that. He can still say what he wants to say.
Right. I mean, Chuck Schumer is suggesting that Nexstar is somehow responding to the administration. Now, here's the thing that always gets me is that the Democrats always respond as though the Republicans are behaving like they do. You know what I mean?
That's right.
It's like because we remember during the Biden administration where there were literal emails and phone calls being made by Biden administration people, bureaucrats, to private companies to say you need to deplatform this person, you need to cease promoting these podcasts and don't let this guy advertise on your platform. We've seen those emails.
Well,
you know?
Yeah, and we know that those pressures have gone all the way down to the local level to this radio station not being allowed to advertise on social media.
Right. So we remember during the Biden administration when the Democrats were doing this thing, they were actually putting administration pressure on private entities to deplatform. So then he's responding like this particular deplatforming is the same thing.
Right.
But we have no indication that the Trump administration was involved in this at all.
Now, we know Donald Trump hates Jimmy Kimmel.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
He does the mean social posts like everybody else.
It's like, you deserved it, basically.
Because Donald Trump has a First Amendment right to say what he thinks too.
That's true. Yeah. So it's kind of funny.
And voters chose not to cancel it.
Yeah, but I always find it so silly when the Democrats are like this, where it's that lack of self-awareness that we saw with the other day with who was it who was talking about something or other. Weaponizing the justice system against your political enemies.
That was Dick Durbin, the senator from Illinois. It was like, you're weaponizing, it's wrong to weaponize government and federal agencies against your political opponents. We're like, we've been trying to tell you that for years.
It's like, oh, thank you.
Welcome aboard.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun.
So with Jimmy Kimmel, what is what he said completely false? 100%.
Yep.
Is it stupid? Yes. Is it gross?
Yes.
But that one statement
in isolation
is not what got him kicked off the air.
Yeah.
It is years of him being dishonest and gross and hateful. You're an entertainer, dude.
Right.
Your job is to amuse people, tell jokes, be funny,
dance monkey.
Yeah. Occasionally maybe try to do something thoughtful, but your job is to sell a late night comedy show at the end of the night when people have gone home, frustrated from work, tired from the kids, don't like the fact that they just found out they have to replace the gutters and they need something to disconnect and decompress with. And he decided that his derangement of his political opponents, basically Donald Trump and MAGA, were going to override everything. And it finally bit him in the butt. That's your own fault, dude. I don't feel sorry for you.
Yeah, he's gonna have a podcast someplace. I'm wondering if they're gonna do like a Kimmel and Colbert.
Yeah.
Colbert and Kimmel. That
Colbert
name
and
would
Kimmel.
sell. Colbert and Kimmel would
Yeah.
sell. It would sell to a very niche audience.
Sponsored by Bud Light.
Now, this is just a reminder real quick. This is your last call to send in your Flashback Friday requests to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com or on X. Let me know what you want to hear this tomorrow. Well, I should say this Friday. Tomorrow,
yeah.
That really kind of snuck up on
Man,
us.
this week's gone fast.
Now, and while you're considering those songs, the assassination of Charlie Kirk has taken some strange twists. Larry Connor's got some ideas on that, so stay tuned for Larry Connor's commentary.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Chase.
John Beal knows that right after a hailstorm, new roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business, helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The 22-year-old charged with killing Charlie Kirk is quoted in court records. These are texts he sent his lover, a man transitioning to a woman. In one, he asked, "Why did I do it? I had enough of Kirk's hate. Some hate cannot be negotiated out." Now, he doesn't give any examples of Charlie Kirk preaching hate because Kirk didn't. Yes, he believed in Jesus and the Bible, was against same-sex marriage and abortion, but he used scripture, not hateful words. The accused killer was subject to hate as echoed by the left. And Scott Jennings, a lone conservative on CNN, pointed that out. For 10 years, we've heard nothing from the left, but Trump is a fascist, a Hitler. This guy obviously had been marinating these words in his head until he reached the point where he thought the world would be better off without Charlie Kirk because Kirk is nothing but hate. How deep does this hate go? Since Kirk's death, some Turning Point members say they've been threatened. One talked about a guy coming up mocking Charlie Kirk's death by pretending to shoot himself in the neck. The devil himself could not show more hate.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL. JC's Wayback Machine.
This week, we'll reminisce about playing catch with Robert Redford every day for about 2 weeks on the set of The Natural. Plus, Lou Graham talks Foreigner songs he hates. Desperate housewife Terry Hatcher talks about her boobs. We'll take you back to 1989 when the Stones played Busch Stadium, and we play great songs from the 90s, 80s, and 70s, all brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9 on News Talk STL.
When it comes to spending your tax dollars and teaching your kids, governments and school districts should be an open book. But in Missouri, that's not always the case. Recently, the Show Me Institute sent out a sunshine law request to school districts across the state, asking for information on whether certain topics are being taught. Specifically, a controversial one called critical race theory was included in the list. Many districts didn't respond. Some wanted to charge large fees to process the documents. Lee's Summit outside Kansas City wanted over $35,000. A rural district, Morgan County, wanted $15,000. The Sunshine Law does allow charging a reasonable fee for sending out information, but there's nothing reasonable about $35,000 or $15,000. These districts should want to be transparent about their curriculums. Taxpayers deserve to know what their kids are being taught. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Like Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis's #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
All right, after the tragedies in Minnesota and recently in Colorado, there actually was another school shooting, but it happened on the same news cycle as Charlie Kirk's assassination, so we didn't hear a lot about it. It just kind of got drowned out. And then we think back to obviously the shooting in St. Louis.
Yeah.
You know, it was what, 2.5 years ago? It wasn't that long ago. Every state, every community should be evaluating, maybe reevaluating the plans to keep schools safe. So there's a proposal in Missouri to do just that. It is coming up on 7:36. We're now joined by State Senator David Gregory. And David, you're proposing what you're calling the Missouri Rangers, which would be as I understand it, a specific security law enforcement, I guess, team for each of these schools. What is it that you want to see created, and how would that work with the schools?
Yeah, that's right. It's basically a separate police force that consists of police officers, post-certified folks that are or retired veterans, retired special agents. I've had a lot of them reach out. But basically, it's a separate police force that is trained and specifically focused on school safety. I mean, here's the deal. Police officers are outstanding. They're very good at what they do. But in one moment, they can be doing a traffic stop, and the next they're trying to get to a school with a lead response time and handling a school shooting. That's a lot. That's a lot of different skills to be using at any random time. And so I think it's time, given the threat, that we up the ante here and that we have a police force that is trained and specifically focused entirely on protecting our kids.
How would this be different than the process of using SROs, school resource officers, and partnering with local police departments to do that so many districts do? So what would be the difference when it comes to applying this?
Yeah, so it's going to depend, right? There's so many different versions of this. It's going to depend on how my colleagues receive it and want to do it. Ideally, the Missouri Range would be separate from and in conjunction with the school resource officers. They're not entirely focused.
Hey, David, I'm so sorry. Let me jump in. We're having an interruption on your phone system. We've got what we call Soros the Gremlin that's climbed into the board real quick. Would you mind starting that answer over? Because I want to make sure everybody hears that. I so apologize for the technical answers, but the question was obviously, how is this going to be different from school resource officers that are often used now?
Yeah, of course. Sorry about that. So yeah, here's the deal. I mean, what we know about school resource officers is that they are not entirely focused on the safety of school children during school days, right? These school resource officers are standard police officers that are assigned by their department.
All right, I'm so sorry, David. Hey, David, I'm sorry. It's happening again.
And we can't even
let's
hear
do
your
this,
answer,
Jerome.
yeah.
Let's call you right back, because this is such an important issue and such an important proposal. I want to make sure that we get it in its entirety. So, David, I appreciate your patience. I'm so sorry, Dave. We're going to give you a call right back to see if we can't reconnect that. Soros the Gremlin.
Yeah, just eating up the phone line right now.
So I want to make sure, because he's calling it the Missouri Rangers,
right?
And that's the proposal that he's doing. So far right here, what we've got is that it would be a separate, essentially, police force,
right?
And they would have to have their post certification, POST, which is the certification anybody who's eligible to be a law enforcement officer has to have in order to do that. So this would be specifically for the school districts. And so looks like we got him back, and we got him. Okay, great. So Senator David Gregory, thank you so much for your patience. I'm so sorry about that. So then again, let's try it again. The question is, what's the difference between the Missouri Rangers approach versus school resource officers?
Yeah, so school resource officers are just general police officers, post-certified, that are assigned to a school by a department, right? So they're a police officer that arrives for the day. and their boss says, hey, go to the school and talk to the kids, mentor them, show them that police officers are good people, and also have a strong presence for safety purposes. But those police officers aren't specifically and highly trained or focused on that and that only. And that's what these Rangers are going to do. They're going to be specifically trained and focused entirely on school safety.
Good morning, Gabe Phifer here. So it sounds like, and you kind of mentioned this in you kind of introducing the idea that you would focus recruitment on police officers who, basically the ones who are kind of coming off of the front lines of the regular being a patrol officer, and those who can, I guess, step down on some level to guarding our schools. Is that a fair characterization of the type of recruitment you're going to be looking to do?
Yeah, that would be some, but my vision is more retired special agents, 50, 55 years old. They're retired. We've got retired military veterans that are 45, 50 years old. They're fully vested. I've got all kinds of different highly trained folks that are still in some prime years of their lives that want to do this. And if you look at other states, I mean, we've got a state like Colorado that created a program similar, and they don't even pay them. This becomes a badge of honor for highly trained folks, former Navy SEALs, former high-level special agents. You're looking at like special agents that are air marshals that are trained to handle chaos-tight spaces with firearms and emergencies. And so these people come out as a badge of honor and want to protect their kids in their community. So I think it's a program you'll see some high recruitment.
Okay, and this is being proposed as a state program. So essentially, we're looking at either a branch of or another agency or another department of law enforcement, right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, so by the way, where did the name Missouri Rangers come from? Why did you settle on that? I'm just curious because that is such a distinctive name.
It just seems fitting with the other programs. We've seen programs like that, like I mentioned, out of Colorado. We know Texas has a Rangers program for a highly specialized police force. Now they do things a little different. They're not focused entirely on children, but we're starting to see a police force named Rangers in different states for specialty reasons. And so I thought it was particularly fitting. Quite frankly, I don't care what name we end up with. What I want is it to be something that is marketable, that is going to train, it's going to recruit, and is going to be this badge of honor to our community to come out, be known as that person who is there to defend our kids.
Now, would the legislation that creates this agency also mandate its use in schools, or is it just making them available and it's up to the school districts whether or not they want to partner?
That's a great question. That's going to depend on where the funding comes in, right? I mean, if we're talking about the state paying for it, we can mandate it, but that's a lot. That's 3,000 schools. I mean, if you do the math, you're talking a couple $100 million a year. Worth it? Sure. Is that going to be hard to find? Of course it is. And so if we can't fully fund it, then we can shift more to a licensure program of post-certified specialty police officers. We'll at least pay to train them, certify them, equip them, and then the schools could pay for it, or perhaps we could go half. Whatever it is we can get done, I want to get it done.
Would this be open to private schools as well, or would this be specifically for public schools?
Yeah, absolutely. My vision is all schools, all kids in the entire state of Missouri. Look, St. Louis and particularly Missouri is the greatest place to raise your family. I'm just not so sure the rest of the country quite sees it yet. I plan on showing that as well, but I want Missouri to continue to be the greatest place to raise a family, and it's going to start with safety, and it's going to be safety in schools.
All right, we're visiting with State Senator David Gregory. What's the read in whether the caucus or the legislative colleagues? I mean, obviously, this is something that hasn't been debated or put forward, but what's the reaction you're getting so far to the proposal itself? And obviously, you'll be filing this, as a bill. But what reaction have you had so far?
I mean, a lot of support for the proposal in general. I think it's difficult for anyone to say, I don't like that idea of protecting kids in schools. Very difficult to find that. So in general, a ton of broad support. But my colleagues are super sharp as well. And they're saying things like, hey, what does it look like? What are the logistics? What are the costs? What are ways we can get this done without having a huge fiscal note we're going to struggle to pay for each and every year? And so that's where the discussion lies. The discussion lies on how we get this done.
And where's going to be the right balance? Because obviously every time there's a tragedy, we hear leftists try to exploit it to say we need more gun control, get rid of the Second Amendment rights and all that sort of thing. But when it comes to the school security, what's the right partnership between state government and local school districts? Because this is just the reality that we just have to be prepared for. It could happen anywhere at any time in the country.
Yeah, it's so hard. So I'm getting reached out from all kinds of folks, parents especially, Senator, do something, please. And so interestingly, even folks have reached out to me saying, I've never voted for you. I still may never vote for you, but I really like the idea of your rangers in schools protecting kids. So it has overall a very strong sentiment of we've got to protect our kids. And, it's hard to argue the right people with a firearm is a bad thing, right? Police officers that are certified, that's a good thing that have a firearm. That's okay to have a firearm in school if you're the right person with the right training who trust is going to protect our kids. And so the key, of course, is always moving towards getting the right people in these schools to protect our kids.
All right, State Senator David Gregory, website. We've already tagged you on our social media website. People want to ask you questions or get in touch about it. What's the best way?
Yeah, the best way is through X or through Facebook. It's at David Gregory Mo, M-O from Missouri. David Gregory Mo.
All right. Thanks a lot, David. Good. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, David.
For having me.
Tonight is the big night. Steve Forbes at Lindenwood University. I'm talking to everyone who has already reserved your tickets. Look, you don't want to miss a conversation with Steve Forbes. Be there. The NewsTalk STL table will be there in the lobby, so stop by early and say hi. On behalf of the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise and NewsTalk STL, we are looking forward to seeing you there.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Jamie Allman here with the Allman Report. Pleased to be with Jordan Rosenblum. Google the bagel loan. That's what it's all about. Jordan, tell me about purchasing a home, brother.
Purchasing a home right now, it's a tough market. You're going to see a lot of competition. On the bagel loan that we have, you're going to have no closing costs, no title fees, no appraisal fees, no lender fees. Saves an average client almost $4,000 on a transaction. Customer service, unbelievable. Text, call anytime.
As I know, as a real estate agent, Google the bagel loan. Google the bagel loan, folks.
NMLS number 226715.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Join Aaron Tarlow every Sunday night at 9 on Newstalk STL for Shall Not Be Infringed, your voice for Second Amendment rights and firearms education. Brought to you by DG Firearms, Kevin's Guns, Osage County Guns, and Full Circle Reloading and Firearms.
Attention off-road enthusiasts. Iron Bear Customs has the strongest bumpers on the planet. Plus, brush guards, lift kits, and custom cages for all vehicles. Visit ironbearcustoms.com and mention Newstalk STL for 10% off. Iron Bear Customs, built tough for the toughest terrain.
Discover Patriot Powder Coating, your family-owned specialist in Pacific. From small jobs to big projects, we got you covered. Visit our showroom or call 636-551-0377. Mention Newstalk STL for 10% off.
Hi, this is Susie Moore. Check out my show, Red State Radio, Sunday afternoon at 4, right here on NewsTalk STL. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Couple interesting parallel conversations happening on the Rumble chat box
Mhm.
regarding Senator David Gregory's proposal for the Missouri Rangers
Mhm.
when it comes to keeping basically a separate force to to
To guard
create
schools.
to guard schools in particular. That's going to be that, and all the other conversations are going to be up on our Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast here just a little bit after the show. Earlier, I'm like, hey, Jerome, sorry for all that editing and clipping and posting you got to do at the
Yeah.
show. We got a lot of conversations
Yeah.
today.
Interestingly, I remember very recently seeing a Charlie Kirk clip about exactly this.
Yeah.
That why do we protect banks and our politicians with guns, but not our kids?
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. It is 7:50 right now. All right. Let's decompress for a
Oh,
minute
yes,
here.
yes, please.
So,
Shake it out. Shake it
should
out.
grown-ups just
Woosah.
be the grown-ups and leave the kid stuff to kids?
Now, what do you mean by kid stuff?
'Cause this is Gabe's like, my toes, watch him, don't step on him.
Well, I mean, we're Gen X, right? And
Yeah.
and conceivably, the meme is Gen X is 45 to 60-year-olds who look like 30 to 40-year-olds, but are mentally still teenagers. So, you might be stepping on on all the Gen X toes right now.
Let me tell you that I probably am, but I'm not. It's the people who responded to a YouGov survey. Okay. So here's what happened. A new poll asks Americans which adult things adults should move on from and leave for kids. Can you guess any of the things that the 2,000 people who replied to the poll said adults really need to knock that off?
They're gonna say video games, and I'm gonna be mad about it.
That is not in the top 10.
Oh,
believe it or
really?
not. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That
That's
is
fine.
not in the top 10.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
Any other guesses?
Let's see. Let me think of the other kid things that I involve. Action figures, collecting action figures.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So here's where that's at.
You can take my 2-foot Darth Vader action figure from my cold dead hands.
Yeah. So now they're rolling that into like dolls and things, and
Okay.
toys like that,
Like
yeah.
Cabbage Patch Kids and Barbies.
So
and all
they're
these,
saying,
yeah.
listen, if you're a grown up, why do you need?
But there's a significant difference here.
Okay, what's the difference?
Okay.
Defend your position.
I will
Gabe.
defend it right now. Okay. So when you're 10, your Darth Vader is attacking like your GI Joe, and you're doing the thing with your, they're boom, boom, boom. Yeah, and you're playing with them because imaginative play with figures from media. That's a thing. When you're 40 years old and you purchase that, you leave it in the box, and you put it on a shelf. Because it's a keeper. It's like getting a vase. Instead of getting a vase, which is just going to sit there and look pretty, you get a Luke Skywalker overlooking the sun on Tatooine, and you sit him up there, and he looks cool.
Yeah. Okay.
It's the same thing.
So it's for the kid though, still.
Well, technically, a kid could buy it and play with it, but because it costs $50, you're not going to give it to him.
There you go.
That's for me.
Okay, the number one thing, 81% of people said that adults should stop doing trick or treating.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh my gosh, you should stop trick or treating the minute you graduate high school.
Yeah.
At the latest.
I see. I think
latest.
high school is too old to be trick or treating.
I do too. I give them the 4-year leeway just because maybe you're taking your 10-year-old little brother or little sister out, and you figure you're going to dress up too.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll give you that. I think it's stupid. I don't think you should do it, but I'll give it to you. I think ideally middle school, 8th grade.
That's about the cutoff.
That's about the
cutoff.
And look, if you're showing up to my house and you can vote, you better not ask for candy.
Yes. And then we talked about dolls and action figures and things like that. Number 3 on the list, bumper bowling. Not bowling, bumper bowling.
Having to put the bumpers up,
right?
Because
that you cannot get a gutter ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's for little kids.
That's
honestly for little kids,
right? I mean, okay. Should there be leeway for beginners?
No.
Right.
No.
Suck it up. You're an adult.
You're an adult.
Take the L.
Sometimes you go into the gutter.
Okay.
That's just how that goes.
All right.
Number 4. And I agree with this one on number 4.
Okay.
Stuffed animals.
Yeah.
We're talking to you ladies.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Stuffed animals.
Now,
I don't know a single dude who has a stuffed animal.
Now, I bet a lady will argue the stuffed animals the same way I argue the action figures, but just in terms of pillows. It's like
Right.
a stuffed animal is just a creative looking pillow.
And I don't think I have ever seen a woman in her 30s or beyond who has stuffed animals. Not one. They're I think it's like, the young and mid 20 somethings. Or it's,
Yeah, they're
it's
still
still
hanging
cute
on.
and dainty. I'm like, it's really not.
They're still hanging on to
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
So stuffed animals. This is going to hurt a few people's feelings.
Okay.
Coloring books.
Oh yeah, I've
Yep.
seen this. Now here's an interesting little caveat to that though. I think coloring books might be one of those things that comes full circle, just like diapers, where when you get old enough, the coloring books are actually become useful again because from what I understand, they actually help with maintaining motor function and brain function and things like that to stir up certain, to offset Alzheimer's and things like that. I've heard some doctors recommend.
Yeah, we don't exercise our brains enough.
Yeah.
And I actually read an article just last week. It's funny you say that,
Mhm.
that says that we need to be thinking in terms of, puzzles and things like that.
Yeah.
To exercise your brain.
Yeah.
And so like for me, I would do a Sudoku.
Yeah,
I would
exactly.
just grab one at the store and just go through the Sudoku
Word
thing.
searches
Right,
and word games and things like those are very, very good for keeping your brain going.
Yeah.
And I heard coloring books are not only that, but they also have a dopamine effect, a calming effect.
I think we also have the bad taste in our mouth from like handing these out to college kids.
Oh yeah, for
because
the
they were
crying
triggered in the
rooms.
right.
Oh
exactly,
yeah,
so-
exactly. Yes, you do. Look, if you are 20 something and you have to reach for a coloring book
crayon.
because something like there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Like you need more than a crying room.
Okay, so how about number 6 here? Legos.
Well, they specifically make some Lego sets for adults. Like they're like impossible for
should
kids. Well, that's a good question. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, I grew up building things out of Legos.
Right.
And I think it helped me become a good engineer.
Yeah. But you're an adult now.
But I'm
You
an
don't
adult
need
now.
Legos.
I do not use Legos, although I can see the value of prototyping with Legos. And now I'm thinking
Yeah.
about it.
See, I discovered Legos later. I actually started with Lincoln Logs. Remember Lincoln Logs?
Oh, I remember Lincoln
I
Logs.
actually enjoyed coming up with different things in Lincoln Logs as a kid.
Yeah, when I made my first X-wing fighter out of Lincoln Logs, my parents decided that maybe we ought to get them the Legos.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. It's like, what are you doing?
So
kid?
about a minute left here. Number 7, dressing up in costumes. 14% said that's just for kids. That's not. So the vast majority went, no, it's okay for adults to do costumes, whether it was for Halloween. And 1 in 7 people think adults should not dress up for Halloween at all.
Yeah, I guess the thing is the costume party is still a thing,
It's
right?
still a thing,
For,
yeah.
particularly for adults. It may be more fun for adults, the costume party, than for kids. Like I haven't heard of a kids costume party other than like your
Halloween,
your trick or treat thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Number 8 was Harry Potter. Yeah, I'm getting you. I've never seen Harry Potter, but I
Harry Potter adults and Disney adults.
Disney's number 9.
They strike me as a little. There's something there.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know what it is.
Sorry, Tony.
I don't know what it is.
Sorry, Tony. Colombo.
Exactly.
Yep.
Calling
And
you
then
out.
number 10 was any kind of trading cards.
Oh,
yeah.
Jamie Allman here, and I want you to hide out with me 10 minutes south of 270 in Gravois at the wonderful Hideout, the best burgers you're going to find anywhere in the land, and yet people still eat Dave's Chili right there at 90-degree temperatures. Music every day, it seems, people, on the weekends especially, and dinners and lunch served every single day of the week. The coldest beer and the best staff you're going to find, the Hideout right there in High Ridge.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Hi, I'm Dr. Alan Link, owner of the Dental Link. You've heard ads about teeth in a day, but did you know that you will be chewing on plastic, acrylic teeth? Here at the Dental Link, we can give you porcelain crown and bridge teeth utilizing mini dental implants that function much more like real teeth at about half the cost. Plus, mini dental implants are less invasive, less painful, and your recovery time is much shorter. Give us a call at 314-794-6464 or simply visit us today at thedentallink.com.
Storm damage got you stressed out? Don't worry. Call Mario and his team at Top Quality Exteriors. We're your local St. Louis neighbors. Mario and his team specialize in roofing, siding, and gutters. Whether you need a few shingles replaced or a complete exterior makeover, we bring quality work with real results at an affordable price. Plus, we'll work with your insurance company to get your claim approved and help you get your repairs done quickly. Call for a free estimate today, 314-618-8888. BBB accredited and ready to roll. 314-618-8888.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. They have a deal. The U.S. and the U.K. have signed a new tech partnership agreement having to do with AI and the development of other cutting-edge technology. President Trump says the pact already starting to pay off.
This new accord is already helping spur a massive wave of private sector deals worth over $350 billion alone, headlined by a $136 billion from Blackstone.
The president speaking on the second and final day of his historic state visit to England, joined by Prime Minister Starmer at a news conference. Working its way through the Republican-led House, a resolution honoring the late Charlie Kirk and a measure having to do with money issues.
Lawmakers voted in favor of advancing the measure and a bill to avert a government shutdown in a joint mechanism known as a rule vote. The rule was adopted in a 216 to 210 vote along party lines. Republican Thomas Mass of Kentucky, known for opposing the federal funding bill, was the lone lawmaker from either side to vote present. Mass explained that he vehemently supports the Kirk resolution, but opposed an unrelated provision in the rule that blocks Congress's ability from weighing in on tariff policy. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
An investigation underway into a deadly shooting in York County, Pennsylvania. 3 police officers fatally shot, 2 others wounded. They're in the hospital. The gunman was shot dead by police. All of this happened yesterday afternoon. The officers arrived at a home to serve a warrant in a domestic-related case. President Trump on social media congratulating ABC for showing the courage to indefinitely shelve Jimmy Kimmel's late-night show over remarks that Kimmel made about Charlie Kirk's assassination. The comments had some prominent station groups threatening to drop the show altogether. On Wall Street, ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures up 183 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 267. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shane.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Never paint again. This is Darren, owner of Rhino Shield. Want to eliminate painting your home, business, or church? Call the experts at Rhino Shield. Rhino Shield is a revolutionary ceramic wall coating to regular paint and vinyl. Perfect for aluminum, steel, unpainted brick, block, stucco, ephes, drive-it, cement board, and wood sidings. Rhino Shield eliminates wasting time and money painting year after year. Our ceramic coating deflects 90% of the sun's UV rays and 100% of the moisture. Our clients want affordable protection with the elimination of maintenance. Rhino Shield protects your biggest investment while maintaining your architectural features and gives you the curb appeal you deserve. Make your home great again by working with the Rhino Shield experts. A+ rated with the BBB. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Mike Ferguson.
This is the kind of adventure I usually have to force upon us, and here it is, falling into our laps.
Gabe Phifer.
They're buying it. Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Watch you pop a squat, son.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, Governor Mike Kehoe lets us know what his opinion is when it comes to sending in the troops to the city. So we'll get that update. Anybody hiring? There's this guy named Jimmy who may be looking for a job. We'll tell you about that. Get the reaction. By the way, right around 8:20, I've got a couple of different reactions to that. And there's also the broader picture and the accusation of, well, this is just cancel culture. Just you people are doing it this time. And so let's get into that here in just a minute. Jimmy Kimmel brought this on himself.
He sure did.
I mean, he's got nobody to blame but himself on this. And also tonight is the big night. Steve Forbes going to be at Lindenwood University. So we'll go over a couple of logistical details on that. There is really nothing to, you do not have to budget for extra time. Getting in and out of the Scheidegger Center is so easy. It's such a well-designed property right there. Plenty of parking, nothing to worry about. Not going to be a bunch of traffic backups, but we'll give those reminders out here in just a little bit. It is 8:06 right now. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump.
The morning news dump brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right. If President Trump decides to follow through and to send National Guard troops into St. Louis, he's going to be doing it on his own, at least as of right now. Governor Mike Kehoe tells KMOV that he has no plans to deploy the National Guard as a way to boost law enforcement in the city. And of course, this comes after the president says he's going to send troops into Memphis. But Tennessee Governor Bill Lee is actually on board with that decision and has requested the help, whereas Governor Kehoe is at least hesitant or doesn't feel that that is necessary here. So if the president were to do it on his own, we could be looking at some legal and constitutional, let's just say complicated situations.
Right. Now, so far, while President Trump's rhetoric has suggested he wants to do something sort of extra constitutional with the National Guard, he hasn't done any of that. Right. So, let's also be clear about that too.
Right. Exactly. So we'll see what happens. Again, if Governor Kehoe says, yes, that's appropriate, I'm going to activate the National Guard. Can we please get some support on that with federalized troops or whatever? But they would be under that constitutionally is clear.
Yes.
Clear. Now we can still debate whether it's good or bad idea.
Right.
But it would at least constitutionally be in the right spot.
Right.
Okay. Law enforcement in Utah giving an update on the situation surrounding Tyler Robinson, who is the young man who killed Charlie Kirk. Now I have to say suspected murderer because he hasn't been convicted or confessed to law enforcement, but we know that he's the one who did it. Washington County Sheriff Nate Brooksby describing the reasons that Tyler Robinson decided in the end to turn himself in without incident.
Tyler knew it was just inevitable with all the law enforcement pressure that his picture in the news, the gun on the news. He knew it was inevitable that he would be caught. He was fearful of a SWAT team hit on his house, or he was fearful of being shot by law enforcement.
And officials in Utah have started the process to get the death penalty for him upon conviction. So it sounds like there's not going to be any plea bargain agreement made on this. I think there would be national absolute outrage if that were happening. There still would not be any cities burning, but there would be national outrage.
Yeah.
They know you take this to trial and then you convict him and then you go for the death penalty there. And maybe the jury or the judge will give it to you. Maybe they won't, but go for it.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. ABC has suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely after Jimmy Kimmel made allegations that Tyler Robinson, who killed Charlie Kirk, belonged to the MAGA movement. Yeah, I'm going to play that clip for you in the 820 segment here. Now, that move comes after a threat from FCC Chairman Brendan Carr, who threatened ABC and its owner. Remember, this is a Disney company. Carr tells Fox's Hannity that President Trump has been unfairly attacked by the media, and the media has not acted in the public interest per their broadcast license.
These legacy media outlets threw everything at him, almost every single hoax imaginable, right? Biden is sharp as a tack, burying the Hunter Biden laptop story, the Russia collusion hoax. And most politicians would have just gone along with that narrative or not fought at all.
Okay, so what happened is Nexstar, who owns many ABC stations, barred its affiliates from airing Kimmel and said they're going to preempt it for the foreseeable future. And then the ABC network had to respond by saying, if we're losing all of those, then we'd better just go ahead and do what has to be done and pull Kimmel.
Yeah, ultimately, I think the affiliate network realized that Jimmy Kimmel was basically just entertaining empty airports at midnight, and they weren't making any money on them, and they were looking for an excuse to end a contract that still had, I think, a few years left on it, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, so because the thing is with the Colbert thing, I think basically that was a non-renewal.
Correct.
Right. So that's why he had a year to cry about it.
They're eliminating the entire show with Colbert.
Right.
It's not like we're getting rid of you and somebody else is going to come in. They're just doing away with the whole show. So that's how bad Colbert is. He ruined an actual property that had been on the air forever.
The whole thing.
The ACLU, among others, say that Brendan Carr's threat, basically saying we're going to crack down on your licenses if we don't like what you're saying, is an unconstitutional violation of the First Amendment. So I think that's an interesting debate. But the bottom line is Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights are not being violated.
Right.
He's just an idiot who is bearing the consequences for what he had to say.
Yeah. And now I think what he said was probably just a straw, but it was the last straw.
Yep. So I'm going to play that in the 820 segment. You can tell me what you think about that. But again, I think you're right. This isn't about the one thing he said, because he actually didn't say anything about Charlie Kirk himself directly.
And he didn't praise the murderer.
No, he just added on to years and years and years of being vile. And so that's what ended up getting. Okay, FBI Director Kash Patel facing questions about the release of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. This happened during testimony before a House Judiciary Committee. Now, remember, he testified before the Senate Judiciary Committee the day before that. So in the House Judiciary Committee, he was kind of getting into a spat with Congressman Eric Swalwell. Patel was defending the FBI's, shall we say, limited disclosure of files related to Epstein.
My job is to provide for the safety and security of this country. My job is not to engage in political innuendo so you can go out to the sticks and get your 20-second hit in your fundraising article. And keep going, reclaiming your time, because the people of California are being underserved by your representation.
Okay, so here's the thing, is there's going to be a lot of people like, yeah, you got him. You owned Eric Swalwell, who's a complete dolt, by the way. Swalwell, but here's the thing is, what you saw in some parts of the testimony was Kash Patel being really solid.
Yeah.
On a variety of things. Something about the Epstein stuff, he deflected constantly.
Like mad.
He did not want to answer the questions. And this comes one day after Patel told senators that there's no credible evidence that anybody else was involved in Epstein's crimes, which, if you have more than 10 brain cells, is not true.
Yeah, it's not even possible to be true.
Yeah.
Like who did Ghislaine Maxwell sell the girls to?
Right. Exactly. So, in some areas he was very solid, and in other areas I think he had a tough time defending his performance as director. And then other times like this, it's just attack you ad hominem. And the thing is, listen, if anybody deserves to be attacked, it's Eric Swalwell.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I was happy to hear Eric Swalwell catching it. But the thing is, what I would like more, the Epstein files.
Yes, exactly. So Patel, I still think Patel's in over his head on this. All right. Striking Boeing workers say they're going to vote on a new deal tomorrow.
Okay, cool.
Thing is that Boeing itself didn't offer a deal. The Boeing union workers made up their own deal, and they're parading out press releases. We're going to have a big vote on a deal and on a settlement. And Boeing is saying, what are you talking about?
Oh my gosh.
We didn't offer you anything new other than the last thing you turned down.
This feels unprecedented. in addition to stupid.
Very, very stupid. Cardinals lost the game in the series with the Reds at home. Final score at Busch Stadium was 6-2, and the Cardinals have a day off today. They're going to be at home to start a series with the Brewers on Friday.
Your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
There's a variety of reasons to change your diet and change your nutrition and change your exercise routine. And most often people say, I want to lose weight. I want to look better. Let me tell you, somebody who has been sticking to some changes in my life for over a year and a half now, that's all great. But let me tell you something, that's a secondary side effect. Mike Ferguson here from my friends at Nutrition Stop in St. Peter's on Mexico Road, just a little bit off of Cave Springs and I-70. Just put Nutrition Stop in your GPS. It'll take you right there. Let me tell you what happens. Your body gets rid of the bad stuff that you've been putting into it. Your body gets rid of the bad stuff that you've been building up. Your body gets rid of those toxins. And then what happens is, for me at least, inflammation's gone away. Those morning muscle tightness, and then after a good workout, you're still going to be a little bit sore in a good way. But when you start using the right nutritional supplements, when you start buying clean food that comes directly from the farm to you, which is what you get in Nutrition Stop, you get cleaner protein, not the processed foods. And by the way, it does not break the bank. It really hasn't changed my grocery budget. But what happens is your body responds, gets younger, gets stronger, gets rid of all of that bad stuff. Nutritionstop.com. Look at what they've got there. Go in, say, Mike was talking about on the radio. Here's my question. I want to get started. From your food to your supplements, to your personal hygiene products, to your cleaning products. They've got something that's going to make your entire life more healthy naturally. Nutritionstop.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com. Brian and his team, they're just amazing people. They're so proud of their operation. Pride in every installation. You can see that in the Google reviews. Pride in the great quality, pride in the great pricing, pride in the great variety, and pride in the fact that you can go into the store right off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or the store will come to you. That's the promise of O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Hi, this is St. Louis County Councilman Mark Harder, reminding you to check out my new show this weekend,
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
That's me. Every Sunday evening at 5, we will explore with you behind-the-scenes stories and information that you won't hear anywhere else. Plus, we talk to decision makers and influencers that have impact on what's going on in St. Louis County and beyond.
The St. Louis County Insider with Councilman Mark Harder.
I'll talk to you Sunday night at 5, only on News Talk STL.
For 3 generations, one family has ruled the road in quality asphalt paving. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. Family owned and operated. We're your leading authority for driveways, lanes, and parking areas. No project is too small or too large. We cater to both residential and commercial needs with unbeatable quality at just $38 per square yard plus labor. Call 636-295-9949. 636-295-9949. Ruby's King of the Road Hot Mix Asphalt Paving. You save when we pave.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
About time we had some Striper bump music. Okay, so the left suddenly objects to cancel culture.
Right. Because it's okay when they do it. But,
right.
And forbid.
They're taking the Jimmy Kimmel thing very personally. And of course, this is after so many people, professors and public officials and school teachers, and who said vile, disgusting things celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, that found themselves out of work.
Right.
And so the left suddenly doesn't like cancel culture.
Now, and here's another question, though. Is this cancel culture?
Matt Walsh addressed this. I've got an observation from him, and we can decide whether he's right or wrong on that. 8:18 right now. All right, Jimmy Kimmel is gone. Now, at least for now, but he's probably done on his national TV show.
Yeah.
I don't think he's coming back.
No, not at all.
There was a discussion on Rumble a bit earlier saying, yeah, he'll apologize and they'll let him back on and people forget about it. I don't think so.
No, when you lose an affiliate, you've lost the income stream. There's no reason for the parent company to keep you around.
So here's what happened is Jimmy Kimmel said a Jimmy Kimmel thing the other night regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
I think that's a valid characterization, a Jimmy Kimmel thing.
Now, I'm going to play that soundbite for you. And what's interesting is what he actually said by itself isn't really what you're seeing represented on social media. People are saying he said a vile thing about Charlie Kirk's murder. Not really.
Right.
But he said something stupid and gross. It's just not exactly what people are saying. But here's the thing. It's the straw on the proverbial camel's back because he's been like this for so many years.
Oh, he's been accumulating a lot of gross quotes, particularly aimed at basically half of the country.
Exactly. And so what happened is Nexstar, which owns a whole bunch of ABC affiliate TV stations, said, we're done. We're going to preempt that program. And they kind of sent ABC a message saying, if you want to sue me, saying our contract says, they actually use the terms public interest, because now you're getting into the FCC says broadcasters must operate in the public interest. And they have said, in our opinion, Jimmy Kimmel is not broadcasting in the public interest, basically because he's so biased, because he's so gross, because he's adding to the division in the country. He is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that is an indicator to me of what the real agenda here from Nexstar.
Yeah, one word.
Is that they're just they were looking to get out of this contract with Jimmy Kimmel, and they found their reason.
Now, at the same time, to be completely fair, Nexstar is trying to do a merger, and they're going to need the administration's approval.
Oh,
so there's a variable on here as well.
Okay, I can see that. All right.
But I want to be fair and point that out. But I honestly, while I'm sure that's a factor, they're going, listen, we're getting lit up with people who hate this.
Yeah.
Every stupid thing he says ends up on social media, and then we're the ones have to answer for it.
Yeah. Well, the other half of shoring your company up when you're trying to do a merger is making sure your books look good. And having a show that loses money. I guarantee you it loses money. That on your books, that's a bad look. So yeah, I think they're just cleaning their house.
Here's what Jimmy Kimmel actually said.
The MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, so demonstrably false. At this point. I mean, so in other words, it's a lie.
Yeah.
But he was attacking the supporters of President Trump. So this was his derangement.
Yes.
Once again, by itself, that's just another political opinion.
Right.
On this, it's a critique, which you're allowed to do.
Sure,
but
sure.
again, year after year after year after year after year, of this guy saying stuff that's not true, that's gross, that attacks people. I think that the businesses just had enough.
Yeah,
they were done.
Well, the thing is, Jimmy Kimmel, I think a long time ago, he cut the audience in half.
Yeah,
he cut the body of America in half, and now he's been picking at the wound for years now, and they're just like, enough. This is crazy. This isn't making us money. I think that's the main thing. This isn't making us money.
So Chuck Schumer disagrees.
Okay,
Senator Chuck Schumer was on CNN, and here's what he had to say about the decision to get Jimmy Kimmel off the air, because ABC responded to the affiliates pulling him and saying, okay, we're suspending him. So here's what Chuck Schumer said.
It is outrageous. It's a page right out of Xi's playbook. This is just despicable, disgusting, and against democratic values. Trump and his allies seem to want to shut down speech that they don't like to hear. That is not what democracies do. That is what autocracies do. And it doesn't matter whether you agree with Kimmel or not. He has the right to free speech. And so it is just outrageous. It is indicative of autocracy. And I am just outraged by it. Again, this is what dictators do. This is what Xi would do. This is what Putin would do. We are not that country.
Okay, so first of all, Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights are not being violated.
Right.
Whatsoever. There is nothing that violates. Jimmy Kimmel can still say whatever he wants.
Yeah. Just not here.
He just doesn't. The companies that carried his show do not have the constitutional responsibility to keep him on the air. They've made a market decision because he's a jerk and an idiot.
Right. Absolutely. And here's the thing that always gets me. Chucky here is is responding as though the Trump administration behaved like the Biden administration.
Right, yeah.
That's how he's
Yes.
responding. He's responding as though the Trump administration, bureaucrats in the system, sent emails to Nexstar and said, you can't have this person. You need to deplatform them as soon as possible. And Nexstar obliged the administration because they were worried about retaliation. That's exactly what happened for 4 years under the Biden administration. And we have the emails to prove it. So now he's acting as though the Trump administration did that. And there's no evidence to say.
Yeah. So let's look at the bigger picture here, because the left is now suddenly opposed to cancel culture.
Yeah.
After years of finding old tweets, old interviews, old whatever, and then running people out of work or responding to people like Gina Carano, saying things that Disney didn't like and firing her from the show. So, so the left had no problem with cancel culture up until suddenly it affects them.
Like 5 seconds
Okay.
ago.
So Matt Walsh had an observation on that. And here's something Matt Walsh said, which I think it was yesterday, which I found interesting. Tell me whether you agree or you disagree on this.
There is a fundamental difference between the cancel culture that the left engages in and the quote unquote canceling that the right is doing in the wake of Charlie's assassination and the left's celebration of it. The difference is that the left will cancel you for saying objectively true, good, and normal things. To the extent that the right cancels you, it'll be for saying objectively abhorrent, perverse, and sick things. And this distinction matters. As I've said for years, the problem with the left's attack on speech is not just that they're attacking speech, but that they're attacking true and right speech. They want you to be fired for saying, for example, that men can't have babies and women don't have penises. The problem isn't simply that they're trying to get you fired for saying something. It's that they're trying to get you fired for saying the most basic and true things that it's possible for a person to say. The left's war on speech is not a war just on speech. It's a war on truth. They want to punish truth, and that will always be worse. Obviously, significantly worse.
You know what? I agree. I mean, at the fundamental level, for sure, at the fundamental level. Now, in the sort of at the practical level stuff, we've got also the difference that I like to make between cancel culture versus consequence culture is the idea that I, as a third party, the leftist organization, I'm going to make trouble for you, the employer, kind of absent a relationship because you employ somebody who does something, as opposed to, hey, employer, did you know your employee does this? I think those things are different. It's different if I'm going to interfere with your free association, as opposed to I'm going to inform you about who you're associating with. Does that make sense?
Sort of. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
it's sort of and that's kind of the functional difference, I think, between cancel and consequence culture. Matt was speaking to, I would say the spiritual difference, I think, between cancel and consequence culture.
Yeah, and I liked how he focused on truth.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to challenge my agenda and object to my agenda. So we're gonna go after you. Whereas what's happening right now, and there are some, we are at risk, by the way, on our side of devolving into a witch hunt mindset.
Oh, it can easily get there.
Yeah, and
we're on the verge of it.
We're on the verge of it right now. So be careful. Use your power judiciously right now, friends.
I think so far, I'm fine with it. So far, what I've seen, okay, we're striking the right tone,
right?
But we're that close. We're that close. We're real close.
So yeah, so
take it easy.
But when he's talking about a war on speech is a war on truth, I think he summarizes what the left has been doing the last several years very well.
Absolutely. And I've characterized the whole trans debate because he brought in the trans thing, because really, that's one of the things that I think really, really characterizes what we've been dealing with in terms of dealing with the left, is in terms of the truth issue. Is that and I've characterized that as the hill to die on, because it does speak to a fundamental truth about humanity. The men can't have babies. Women don't have penises. Like that's some simple stuff that even a baby can recognize the difference in facial structure between mom and dad. And they will understand this. So it's like this, we're talking about base human nature and them trying to hijack our brains in order to force their thoughts about anything into our minds. That's the thing. If you can force somebody to deny a fundamental truth they've known since they were a baby, then you can make them think and believe anything.
I've been saying it for years. If you control words, you eventually will control thought.
Yep.
And you will control people.
Yep.
That's how that works. So bottom line is Jimmy Kimmel did this to himself.
Yes.
Good
ultimately.
riddance. I don't feel bad for it at all. Donald Trump's already posted on social media celebrating it. So he's doing a victory lap on that.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
you know what? It is kind of a victory lap for him.
Trump gets to do the nanny boo boo.
He does. He does.
He's earned it.
Yeah, he's taken the BS
right
from Kimmel and people like that for many, many years. And no politician is above being mocked on late night shows.
Sure, that's allowed.
That's was expected.
Yes.
And I want you to poke fun at both sides. I want you to poke fun at the people I like.
Yeah.
So Trump, you know what? He gets to spike the football here. And I don't blame him one bit for that. But the idea that Jimmy Kimmel is being canceled by some conservative political oligarchy is just ridiculous. He did this to himself, and it wasn't just this comment about MAGA and saying something that was demonstrably untrue. It was all the years of him building up to it that's caused that.
So just a reminder, before we go to the information segment here for tonight's conversation with Steve Forbes, doors open at 6 and the event starts at 7 at the Scheidegger Center on Lindenwood University's campus. The Scheidegger Center has plenty of parking and it's easy to get in and out. So we look forward to you joining us and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise this evening.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
It's another dry day for most of us, although a stray shower or thunderstorm is possible west of St. Louis, just a sign of bigger changes to come. Otherwise, though, mostly sunny today, another hot afternoon, 93 for the high. Clouds increase overnight. We'll drop it down to 68 for the low, and then not as hot tomorrow. Friday still warm, though, at 87. Partly sunny, a 30% chance of showers and thunderstorms, with more spotty to scattered showers and storms this weekend. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Matt Shea.
Fox News commentary.
Apparently, Tampon Tim isn't done ruining Minnesota yet. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
You think your 401k is safe, growing, reliable. But here's the truth. The 401k was never designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift risk onto you, leaving your retirement exposed to Wall Street crashes, inflation, and chaos. Noble Gold helps Americans roll over part of their 401k into real physical gold. Tax advantage, penalty-free, and shockproof. Get your free wealth protection kit now at noblegoldinvestments.com. That's noblegoldinvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Who wants to be Minnesota's governor again? Tampon Tim Walz announced his run for a third term because apparently turning the state into a social experiment isn't quite finished yet. Besides his failed endeavor at becoming our VP, Tim Walz made national headlines for putting tampons in boys' bathrooms at public schools. It was in the name of menstrual equity because nothing says equality like spending taxpayer dollars to help boys find feminine hygiene products they'll never use. Tim is the same guy who spent his time pushing gender ideology, green mandates, diversity czars, while crime surged, carjacking spiked, and small businesses got buried under red tape. The ones that made it through his draconian COVID policies, that is. But now he says there's unfinished work. Republicans are lining up to challenge him, and they should. Minnesota needs a reset, not a third term of Tampon Tim. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Escape to Augusta, Missouri, where country charm meets endless possibilities. Just a short drive from St. Louis, discover our beautiful wineries, bike the scenic Katy Trail, and explore our rich history. Looking for romance? Our charming bed and breakfasts offer true hospitality with fine dining at local restaurants, wineries, and breweries. It's time to spend some time in the country. Augusta welcomes you. Learn more at augustachamber.org.
For 93 years, R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair has been your family-owned destination. We're more than hardware. Find Carhartt clothing, gifts, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all under one roof. 4 generations of small-town service with big store selection. R&R Ace Hardware in St. Clair. Worth the drive.
R&R Ace Hardware in Sullivan isn't your typical hardware store. It's a destination. Find Carhartt clothing, home decor, toys, fishing gear, and fabric all in one place. Proudly woman-owned with unique finds you won't get in the city. R&R Ace Hardware Sullivan. Worth the drive.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Capistrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
Hey, News Talk STL listeners, this is Levi with Reach Reproductive Health. So first, I want to say thank you for standing in the gap for life, because truly it's because of people like you that many babies who otherwise would have been aborted are living today. I'm grateful to be fighting this cause with you. I'd like to invite you out to Reach's inaugural annual gala. It's our stakeholders launch. We're having it November the 6th at 6 p.m. at the Commons in Chesterfield. Space really is limited, so I want you to RSVP right now. Go grab your spot at outreachforlife.org. That's outreachforlife.org.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the NewsTalk STL app in the App Store or at newstalkstl.com.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, we've had a lot of things that have grabbed our attention over the past, about a week now here with Charlie Kirk's assassination, but there's a lot of governing that still has to be done. Interesting article, and this was in, I believe it was I should have written it down, Daily Signal or Daily Wire, but it was written by our friend Mike O'Neill from Landmark Legal Foundation, who joins us right now. And the title is, "If Congress Doesn't Step Up, Trump's Agenda is in Serious Trouble." That was Daily Signal, right, Mike?
Yeah, Daily Caller.
Daily Caller.
There's a lot of daily.
A lot of dailies out there.
When you're saying it, I'm thinking Daily Wire, Daily Caller, Daily Signal, right? Daily Caller, right?
Yes.
Absolutely
Okay.
right.
There it is. So we can check that. You can find that there.
Sure.
And this is what's interesting, because a lot of what's happening, and your dynamic is spot on, is that I think Congress is pointing at President Trump and saying, okay, he's got to make all this happen. Voters, especially those who supported Trump or supported the MAGA movement or whatever part of that movement, they're saying, yeah, President Trump, get it done. But there are things that the presidency is not allowed to do. And so there should be more pressure on the big things. And there's some things that I don't agree with, but on a lot of those. But give me an example of what Congress needs to be stepping up on, because at some point, I think they're trying to take credit for the success without actually going through the full battle.
Right, ride the president's political coattails, so to speak, and that's generally what they're doing, and it's unfortunate. Well, tariffs. Let's just talk about tariffs now. The tariffs, it's going to be up in front of the Supreme Court in a matter of weeks. Here, it's one of the first cases they're going to be hearing in the new term, and presumably there's going to be a decision rendered fairly quickly. Now, it is a legitimate question about whether he has the authority to negotiate these tariffs under the statute. The legitimate under the emergency powers that he's asserting for this. And so I think at best it's a 50-50 proposition in front of the court. Now, remember what the Supreme Court has done over the past 10 years. We've looked at this. They have understood that they've clearly delineated separation of powers. And when they're doing these statutory analysis, what do? They don't really want to, if the executive, and this was applicable with Joe Biden, particularly with a lot of the things he was trying to do, if Congress hasn't specifically delegated the authority to the president in a lot of these major issues, and again, tariff is a major issue. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars on the table here negotiating. If Congress hasn't clearly delegated that authority to the president to negotiate those sorts of deals, unless they can find that statutory language, they're going to say, look, the president doesn't have the authority to do this. So tariffs, I'm concerned about this because it's important that the president has this power to negotiate this. I think largely they've been very, very successful. We're seeing a lot of income coming into the country. He's reestablishing our primacy when it comes to these relationships with other countries, with Europe, for example, working on it with China, India, all of these trade negotiations and tariff deals that he's negotiated with. Now, Congress can step in, right, Mike? Congress can say, okay, look, we don't have to worry that the court might say, look, the president doesn't necessarily have this. They don't have to deal with all those consequences. They can step in and they can say, look, this is a revenue ruling measure. We're going to say codify this, and we're going to explicitly grant the president. And if you want, however they want to limit it, they can do it. But they can say, hey, look, the president has the authority to do this under this particular provision in the statute. And we need to see that, because I don't want to leave it to the Supreme Court to have to make this decision for us. I want Congress to step up. Clearly, it's beneficial for the American people. These things are working. At least my perception is that they're succeeding. So let's make sure that we don't have to worry about leaving it to the courts to do our work for us. Let's have Congress step up and do their job and actually legislate.
Yeah, and I'm going to disagree with you on the tariffs themselves, but that's not the point of this, because the courts haven't ruled that the tariffs are bad. They haven't said that Mike O'Neill is right and Mike Ferguson's wrong, or vice versa. What they've said is it matters who makes the decision and enacts the rules.
Right, exactly. And that's what I'm getting at here. It's just the power. It's the power to negotiate these tariffs. And again, it's an open question, and I don't think it's not an open and shut case. And I think there's if you want to have unless you want to have to face the consequences of the court's ruling, hey, he doesn't have this power, and then what's going to transpire after that, get into it. But look, Congress needs to do their job. There's all kinds of things. And again, we know this, executive orders are just that. Now they are important, and they have a lot of control over how the agencies go about their business. But President AOC, again, hypothetically speaking, imagine that. President AOC comes into office. What can she do? She can reverse those executive orders day one that she comes into office. So Congress should be codifying a lot of this stuff. Again, we're talking about voting things. Where the president was talking about doing a lot of work with regards to election security. Well, if he's going to do that via executive order, okay, that's all well and good. But let's have the SAVE Act get through Congress and codify that so it's an actual permanent law that's on the books. That it's not just simply an executive action.
Yeah. We're visiting with Mike O'Neill from the Landmark Legal Foundation, and obviously there's a bunch of politics and policy involved in this. But what's like the basic civics aspect of this that people need to be understanding? Because a lot of times when we look at a court ruling and we get mad because we want, the president to get his agenda item done, and we get mad at the court, and the reality is really sticky because it has more to do with the process, but the process matters a lot of times.
Absolutely. I say the same thing over and over again. Separation of powers is paramount for preservation of liberty here. And we have to ensure, and that's what all of these bodies of government do. This is the Supreme Court it's one of their guardians of ensuring that there's proper separation of powers here, that the president is staying within his executive lane, that the legislature is staying within its lane, and that the courts are staying within their lane. Look, the Supreme Court has had to do some has to make sure its own house is in order. We're seeing a lot of these activist judges that are going well beyond their authority, their judicial authority. So all of our branches of government are always jockeying for more power, and it's incumbent upon the requisite branches. And this is why Congress has to step up. It has a role too, right, Mike? It has to say, hey, look, we are the body that is cast under our constitutional structure with legislating, with passing and enacting laws. So let's step up to the plate. Let's not take August off. I mean, they took August off. They've had weeks off. Let's step up to the plate. Let's get on the field and let's start playing some ball.
So when we look at what are some of the other aspects of President Trump's agenda that are being held up, because we get so caught up in whether we agree or disagree with the agenda item itself, that when we talk to Congress, we talk to whoever it is that represents us locally. That's what they need to hear about is, hey, what about this? Why aren't you doing this if you say you support what the president's doing?
Voting, I think is an imperative one here, right? We need to talk. There was an act in Congress that was it's called the SAVE Act that it does a lot of the steps we're talking about. That ensures that you have to show identification. That eliminates a lot of this mail voting that we're talking about. That ensures that there's citizenship. That makes sure that states actually take affirmative action to ensure that their voter rolls are up to date and accurate, and identify non-citizens who might be on those voter rolls and remove them. And so there's a federal law that's passed through the House. It's languishing in the Senate. This is something that certainly needs to get through. And again, we talked about this. The president had posited an executive order regarding security in our electoral process. That can only do so much. Of Congress speaking as a whole, as a body of the American people, saying, look, we recognize this and we're going to pass this legislation to ensure that our elections are secure.
Are we at risk given this? And once again, the article at Daily Caller is, if Congress doesn't step up, Trump's agenda is in serious trouble. In a weird way, because we're talking about Congress, Republicans in Congress stepping up to support the president. But in a weird way, with them not doing this, are we at risk of setting the precedent that gives the presidency too much power?
Right, and that's certainly where the road we've been on for decades, and that's with the rise of the administrative state that we've talked so much about. Congress has been very easy. It says, look, we don't want to have to suffer the political consequences of doing something, God forbid. So we're going to let the administrative state, the bureaucracy, take the lead on this. We might pass a law that uses vague and flowery language, and let the administrative state, the EPA, for example, or whatever administrative agency you want to come in, fill in all the rough and tumble details that they need to fill in via the regulatory process. No, well, those days I think have passed. Remember, we saw that the Chevron doctrine was revoked, right? Congress needs to speak with specificity. Agencies can't just run amok. They need to have, again, what I was talking about before, you want to see clear statutory delegations of authority to these administrative agencies. And so Congress needs to speak with strong language, strong and direct language, if it's going to delegate its authority to do this, to pass certain or to enact certain regulations. So again, the rise of the administrative state, the Congress has been, it's easy to come in and say, okay, look, I'm going to let the administrative agencies and the bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. do the heavy lifting on this stuff. So no, we want to see Congress do this. They've taken enough, as I said before, they've taken enough vacation. It's time to get to work and get on the field.
All right. And what do you think the chances are of this starting to change direction on this? I mean, just looking at the reality of politics right now.
You know, it's sometimes, again, I go back to tariffs. It's sometimes you could see that there is some political will. And I think the overwhelming majority of American people want to see safe and secure elections. Let's go back to the SAVE Act. I can't believe this is an 80-20 issue. It's hard for me to get a hold of the fact that this is languishing. And I know that there's a lot of politics at play. You need super majorities for some of these issues. You need simple majorities for others. But hey, look, there's a lot of things that the overwhelming majority of the people of the American people agree on. President Trump is actually, showing that through a lot of his actions. So hey, Congress, make some. Let's start with some of the easier things. Again, SAVE Act, other things like that, and then you can go from there.
All right, Mike O'Neill, Landmark Legal Foundation. As always, let's give out the website information so people can connect. We've already tagged you on social media, so hopefully they're following you already. Yeah,
landmarklegal.org. You just check us out on our website, and then Facebook and X, Landmark Legal Foundation.
All right, great. Mike, we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
Take care, Mike. Have a great day.
All right. Going to wrap up here just a little bit. For everybody who's coming out to see Steve Forbes tonight, let's chat about that here in just a minute. Let me give you some logistics advice, although not much because it's really easy to get in and out. And by the way, if you got your tickets, you got them reserved, you need to be there. Come on, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'll tell you where I'm going to be so we can come up and we can chat and you can say hi.
Also, if you are going to be there, you probably have a camera on your phone and you can take photos while you're there and you can tag us on social media. And then that way we know you came out and saw us and hung out with us and got to learn some stuff and we got to share an experience together.
Making plans to improve your home. So many people right now are doing that, and I can't blame you. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Niemerg Concrete Block Company. We talk about renovations, and we've done renovations at our house, and there's some great ones that we've really enjoyed as far as the bathroom and the kitchen. But what I really love is what we've done outside of our home in a big patio area with a nice seating wall that we've built in with the walkway that we put that's really unique. And if you want to do something like that, listen, get in touch with my friends at Niemerg Block. NiemergBlock.com is the website, but they're right here in St. Louis. They've been equipping and supplying St. Louis for over 75 years, since 1947. And here's what you do. You go in there, you say, here's the idea I want, or here's the plan that I want, wherever you are in this. And they have got the material. They've got the Verdi block. They've got the freestanding walls. They've got the masonry block. They've got the precast concrete. Maybe they've got the ready mix, whatever it is that you need. They've got the outdoor kits, and they can set you up and supply that. So you and your buddies or your contractor, whoever it is, you can make it happen. And if you just say, here's my goal, they'll help you come up with the plan and the supplies to do it and make your yard and make your exterior as beautiful as can be. Check them out, NiemergBlock.com right now, or just swing by, put Niemerg Block in your GPS. It'll take you right there in their location in the city, and you can see what they have to offer. But what's going to happen is your property and your home is going to be more than just a building. It is going to be that home that adds to the value, not just in money, but in the just experience of enjoying that with your friends and your family. NiemergBlock.com.
Tim Jones here. When life changes, which it does, you need someone you can trust, and that's Todd Sivia. The non-stuffy attorneys at Sivia Law specialize in estate planning and elder law with 7 convenient area locations. 833-995-WILL. 833-995-WILL is how you reach them. CiviaLaw.com. The first 10 people that tell them Tim Jones sent me receive a complimentary $300 strategy session. The non-stuffy attorney lawyers, Civia Law, 833-995-WILL.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine-in or carry-out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for the Great Window World. You know, just over the last 20 years of Window World being in St. Louis, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 76,000 customers in St. Louis. Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. Call them today at 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The attack on Charlie Kirk was an attack on free speech. What about the generation coming up next in their free speech? We'll talk to author Keith Gross about that Thursday at 9:41.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL.
The perfect body, the perfect face. It's like God's best work, all in one place. From the haters, ain't perfection. Can't you say it's a burden being wonderful like me?
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay, couple reminders. We had a lot of really important conversations today. So make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you can get the alerts when those pop up. And these are the ones you want to share. You know people on the Illinois side. You live in the Illinois side. That conversation with Adam Niemerg, that needs to go everywhere in Illinois, not just here on the St. Louis region. That needs to go everywhere. And so follow News Talk STL on X, Facebook. That's going to be posted on all of those. And also tonight. Okay, so tonight, Steve Forbes is going to be at the Scheidegger Center at Lindenwood University. We've been talking about this for like a month now. I don't know if there are any tickets left. I don't know. You can go to newstalkstl.com, and if there's not, then the link will, when you click on it, the link. If there are a few left, then great. You can still get in on that. But for those of you who've got your tickets, this is going to be such a great night. And like yesterday, we're talking to Steve Forbes, and you can find that podcast at any of our podcast platforms. And you know the stories that he was telling. You learn so much from those, and it's so interesting and so thought provoking. And that's what we're going to be in store for tonight, because with Forbes, it's funny because people who don't even really follow the business news or they don't follow the policy news, they know who Steve Forbes is. Mm-hmm. They know Forbes magazine. They know, the Forbes broadcast properties or streaming properties, because they blend everything in: the cultural aspect of this, the political aspect of this, but the economic aspect of it. But it's not like overtly hyper, partisan. It's like, how does this matter to you? So here's what's going on. Scheidegger Center is right off of First Capitol in St. Charles. So just, not even like 3 minutes north of I-70, depending on how many stoplights you hit. And it's right there on First Capitol. You can't miss it. Beautiful building. There is all sorts of parking. You got no worries about finding a parking spot. There's going to be no hassles on that. Doors are going to open at 6:00. We are going to have a table with the News Talk STL banner and everything. I'm going to be up there at 6:00, and I don't know who else is going to be there. I don't know if Jerome, you're going to be there, or if others are from the station are going to be there, but I'm going to be there. So come on up, say hi, let's chat. The Event starts at 7:00, and I don't think it's going to go more than an hour or so, but we're going to pack a lot of really good information in there. There is going to be an opportunity for you to submit questions as well, and he's going to be answering a lot of questions from the audience. I mean, I cannot wait for this. I'm really, really excited for this.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, it's not just going to be bars and graphs and
No,
numbers
no,
and data. I mean, just from listening to the interview guys the other day, he was mentioning about part of the problem with like inflation and how much things cost these days comes down to how many regulations we have, how many different agencies have to oversee that, how many people, So I had never even really fully considered that. I knew that there were regulations, but how many pieces that contribute to that, and maybe we're directing our anger or frustration at the wrong parts of different parts of the economy.
Well, and those are things that get caught in the weeds, because what happens is somebody says, do something. Well, let's add another layer of something. Regulations, permits, fees, approvals, whatever the case is. And he wasn't arguing for anarchy. Now, he's pretty small a libertarian in his views. I mean, you've got somebody who basically, I guess probably why I've admired his work, because he's pretty conservatarian like me as well. But every time you do that, even at a local level, you shouldn't be able to do that. Pass an ordinance at the city level. You got to get a permit for that. You got to get a license for that. Okay, well, eventually those all pile up. It's kind of like the property taxes. And then you hit a critical point. Well, just a few more cents, per month it's for the kids. Okay, well, we need another one. Hey, it's for the fire department. Hey, it's for the workers who do your part. And then what happens is, over the years, all of these individual things adds up to where you're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars a month just in order to be allowed to keep your property. And people suddenly see the other side of this and like, wait a minute, this is added up. This is now meaning that because of the government first thinking, I am now needing to rebudget, which means I'm not spending money in the private sector, or I'm not putting it to my retirement or into my investments. So I've got a choice: support government first thinking versus supporting me and my family first thinking.
Yes.
Well, me and my family first thinking is the moral one. And that's why you've got, I think, a lot of the government entities, school districts and library districts, they're now panicking because they realize that we've now crossed that threshold. We've now crossed that spot where people have said, I've reluctantly supported this because I was told it's for the fill in the blank. Firefighters' pensions, police, parks, children, community center. All of these things that individually I don't really have an objection to, although I've got a big problem with basically the K-12 public education system. I never vote for those. But now at some point you're telling me that you're always going to need more. And that's what's happening right now with the property tax freeze for seniors. Just for seniors, you have all of these entities saying, you're taking money away from us. No, you're not. They are not going to be spending less money on their bill. You're just mad because you cannot jack up their bill in the future. That's not taking anything from you. And those are the things that Steve Forbes was highlighting, saying you pile on all these things, regulations add costs. You pile on all of these things, and eventually you're stifling opportunity for individuals. And I know he's going to be talking a lot about entrepreneurship, which is something that, people hear entrepreneur and they think like multi-level marketing or something like that. They're like thinking, and that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the ability to start a business and flourish in your family. Yes, create jobs. Yes, create tax revenue, but have the freedom to live the way you want to live. And we want to preserve or rebuild a country that has that opportunity for everybody.
Now, for people that may have already gotten their tickets, but they're like, it was a free ticket, and maybe they'll stream it somewhere. Maybe, is there going to be?
We're not streaming it.
Nope. So if you don't show up, this is your chance to do it, and if you don't do it, forever hold your peace.
Yeah. So for everybody, again, like Jerome said, you're right. Make sure that this is off. Hopefully you marked off on your calendar. You're going to come join us out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. So this is the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise, which has done a phenomenal job with this event, and obviously News Talk STL. And there's going to be a few other, of our friends out there. So come on out, say hi. Like I said, I'm going to be in the lobby as you're coming in those main doors. I'll be at the News Talk STL table. You'll see the banners. Come on out, say hi. I'd love to be able to chat with you. But I'm telling you, right before 7 o'clock, I'm going to the auditorium. I want to hear what Steve Forbes has to say, just like everybody else.